or fear. Inaccurate or misleading media representations of mental illness contribute to stigma. The first response to these trends has been for the institutions to increase the availability of mental health services in their institutions, such as counseling and psychiatric care. This is helpful, but not sufficient. There is need for more proactive and preventive approach to students' mental health. Mental health is dynamic and can be improved not only through treatment delivery, but also social, economic, and institutional factors, including sense of belonging, financial support, and campus climate policies. Strategies to improve students' mental health must be guided by data and evidence to the greatest extent possible to maximize returns on investments. Leaders need to make evidence-based investments in students' mental health. What does that entail? Number one, use data to assess the felt needs of students and priorities as well as progress. Number two, invest substantially in strategies with proven effectiveness, such as skills training, interventions that are going to improve on socio-emotional skills. What else can be done? There is need for routine screening on matters mental health, and I'll be talking about that in a short while. Routine screenings. Then there is need for peer health education and peer support programs at the university. Wellness champion is yet another strategy, and I'm quite happy that today we have a wellness champion from Maseno University. I'm so excited that Maseno University, they have a wellness champion, a student amongst other students who can champion this conversation on matters mental health. And a champion, more often than not, I will advise, let be a person with a lived experience with a mental health condition. In conclusion, Chiromo Hospital Group is in the front line changing the narrative on matters mental health in Africa. We engage in capacity building through trainings, talks. We have digitalized, globally validated mental health assessment tools for such disorders as depression, anxiety, burnout, alcohol and substance use, and post-traumatic stress disorders. As I have spoken about digitalized tools, I want to believe as you came in on your seat, you found a book, right? You have that with you. If you look at it, there is a QR code. Chiromo Hospital Group, we've had the privilege of digitalizing the globally validated tools. Just the same way we go for screening for cancer, you can screen yourself. You're experiencing some symptoms, but you're not very sure whether you are okay. You can go ahead. At the comfort of your class, in your house, in your car, you can go ahead and you scan the QR code. One of the tools you'll find there is for depression. And that in itself, it will tell you, am I having symptoms of depression? It is not diagnostic, but it's a way of screening yourself. We are trying to normalize the conversation. So you can go ahead and you assess yourself. There are different tools. There's one for anxiety. There is depression. There is alcohol use disorder. There is burnout, especially those of us who are working. There is one for burnout. Go ahead and screen yourself at the comfort of your house or even as you're seated there. As I approach the end, I want to say that Chiromo Hospital Group has also partnered with different organizations towards promoting, preventing, and supporting individuals with mental health issues. Moreover, Chiromo Hospital Group is ready to partner with any institution of higher learning in promoting, preventing, and supporting students and staff on matter mental health. Let me say that there is no health without mental health. Mental health is more than the absence of a mental disorder. You might not have depression, but you might be mentally unhealthy. So it's time for us to arise and normalize the conversation on matters mental health. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Modi. Okay, if your phone rings and you're next to a mic, it makes that noise. I'm teaching while I talk. All right, I'm looking for Madam Mary Ben to join us. Mary Ben Omolo, is she here? Welcome. Mary Ben Omolo has founded her foundation. She's a transformative speaker and is a coach in terms of mental health. On the screens, we have Claire Akoth. She is the Maseno University Student Mental Health Champion. Claire, can you hear us? You're muted? You can hear us? You can hear us? Paul in the tech, yeah, maybe you can make her listen. And then lastly, I have Mr. Wilfred Muhumuza, who is the Dean of Students at Ndeje University in Uganda. So I'm hoping that's you coming down the stairs. Karibu. Let's give them a round of applause. After the session, I'm hoping that the students have questions to ask. So I have my team here who are going to come around with mics. One of the issues I always find is people are shy to ask questions around the mental health space because of the stigma that you talk about. But at the same time, the consequences of not asking the question are worse, are more dire for you or a family member or a colleague. So I was hoping that there's a lady called Anne Kaloki who should be here to moderate this session. Is she here? No? My goodness, am I going to moderate? Or Jane Gikonyo? I tell you, don't do this job. All right, I will try and run the session. I'll use just an experience as a human being on planet Earth, global and local, and also try and put myself in the shoes of a student and ask some exacting questions. So this first one I will put to Mary Ben Omolo. You have founded your association, your foundation, and you deal with the space of mental health. You're also a coach. Could you tell us who comes to see you? How do they get to you? And because some of the students maybe have an issue they want to talk to you about, how do they go about that? So who comes to you? Don't answer by saying somebody's suffering with mental health. We've got that. But is it adults? Is it the corporates? Is it the student population? That's what I mean. Welcome. And maybe an introduction, who you are, and a little bit of that, and how you got into this space.
Thank you very much. So my name is Ambassador Mary Ben Omolo. I'm a Women Empowerment Ambassador across Africa. I'm also the Ambassador for Global Award Startups, the East Africa Ambassador, domicile in South Africa. I'm also the Vice President of After Young Entrepreneurs Federation, domicile in Ghana. We cut across 30 countries and we champion for After. I'm the founder of Mary Ben Foundation and also Green Seal Cleaners and Pest Controllers. And I'm also the chairperson of East Africa Surf Transport Cooperative. Initially, I wasn't in the space of mental health until I personally suffered from mental health clinical depression for 6 years and 5 suicide attempts. And I was surviving on antidepressants for 4 years. And I realized that mental health is not what people think or say. And life, I always say life is simple, but not easy. It's about how we do it, how we look at life. And since I'm a mental health coach, for me, it cuts across everyone. Mostly I'm in the corporate space, so I train organization in terms of work-life balance, mental health, and emotional intelligence. But I wouldn't say it's only the corporate individuals, but it cuts across everyone. Someone as young as 12 years to someone as old as 68. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I will then ask the question to our visitor from Uganda. Welcome. As you introduce yourself, what are you doing at the university as regards this space? What does a student practically go through when they come to you?
Thank you so much. My name is Wilfred Muhumzakato, the Dean of Students Ndeje University and the Chairman, Uganda Deans of Students Forum in Uganda. First and foremost, I would like to appreciate Corporate Career Academy for organizing such an insightful event, and also Catholic University in East Africa. Thank you for hosting us. The media, the professors, the students, whoever is in this congregation, thank you for attending. As a Dean of Students in Uganda, you are supposed to deal with students' welfare. Anything outside academics falls under our docket as Deans of Students. And when these students are transiting from high school to university, they find a new environment at the university. There is too much freedom. You can go wherever you want. No one will ask you. And remember, when they transit to university environment, there are a number of stressors. My sister, when she was presenting in the beginning, mentioned some of these. Exams, courseworks. These people didn't do courseworks at high school, but now they are doing courseworks, they are doing presentations, exams are in the corner, change of lifestyle. When the freshers come in, they see the second years, the third years, holding the latest iPhone. They also want to have such a phone, and yet maybe the families cannot afford them. They need the latest hairstyle. They don't have this money. As they go on with their studies, maybe they receive an SMS from home and they say, we are sorry, we are yet to pay to 100%, you have to wait. So all these factors contribute towards mental health. And I remember at one time there is one of the doctors in my country, very experienced and very professional, made a statement that all of us are mad. The only difference, the degree of madness. And we discussed this topic for the next 3 months about it. So that is about mental health. But at Ndeje University, we have put in place mechanisms on how to overcome this. For example, we have made collaborations with O3+. It's a program that was initiated by UNESCO, whereby we train peer counselors. Students are more comfortable to talk to fellow students than to administrators. So we are training these peer counselors to identify the students who have challenges and talk to them. We have also trained our university counselors. Whenever there are issues, students can go to the university counselor. And I'll tell you, this is a true story. There is a student who came to my office, but when he came to my office, there was a queue. And I had 3 students that had come in office before him. So I had to attend to the 3 students, but this student looked hesitant to wait for the queue. He wanted to talk to me, but my personal assistant insisted that you have to wait. The young man left, and after I had attended to the 3 students, I could not see him, I couldn't trace him. But late in the night, at around, I think it was past midnight, the police officer calls me and says, please, Mr. Mumza, we have one of your students here. And when I went there, it was that young man. He had committed suicide. And when we read the notice that he left behind, all these were related to mental health. So at Ndeje University, that is what we have tried to do to overcome these issues. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll put this question now to Daktari. I'm imagining that I'm a student. I've come from some of maybe the rougher background. I've come from the rural area. The Dean has spoken to us about financial challenges and all of that, which is very much a factor of a life of any individual. So there's no way around it. These are just the clever ones that made it to university, academically clever. So you've arrived on campus, you're experiencing what Dean is telling us. You do not want the school to know that you have a problem, mental problem. Because you don't even know that you have a mental problem. You're just thinking, I'm not feeling great. I used to get 90% at high school, I'm now getting 40. So you don't know that you're on that journey. How does the school how are universities, institutions of learning, supposed to pull students in early, not at third year, second year, or when, like the student that was just mentioned is already so desperate? What could institutions do early on?
Thank you so much for that question. Let's face it, life can be challenging. And I want to imagine these Form 4 students who lived, everything was structured in school. They had a lot of supervision. They come and they are called to this university where there's a lot of freedom. More often than not, as you have rightly put it, you could be mentally sick, but you're not aware. Could be, you need to ask ourselves, what are the telltale signs that I could not be mentally healthy? One of the things that the universities can do is to normalize the conversation on mental health by creating awareness. And how can they develop a culture of awareness? Every time we have freshmen coming in, this awareness can be part of their program. During the freshman week, as they are being orientated about the university, as they are being told that's where the mess is, that's where the lab is it possible that we have a session whereby they will be talked to about mental health and more so the telltale signs? I'm glad that Ambassador is here and she's making a confession that she was sick for 6 years. Right? So that will be that. Then number 2, it is important for leaders, especially students leaders, to normalize the conversation. As they address the other students during their forum, is it possible to talk about mental health? Let's normalize the conversation. Because when I know when I'm mentally healthy, let me say something because of stigma. Mental health is not that person. I mean, mental ill health is not that person who's collecting rubbish in our market. We could be mentally unhealthy, but we're operating, but not to our maximum. We are not operating to our potential. So let us change the picture we have of being mentally healthy. Mental health, mental disorders are not a respecter of anybody. Either age, socioeconomic status, your achievements in life, you only need to be a human being to develop a mental disorder. You only need to be a human being to have a mental health problem. Those are two different things. A mental disorder is different from a mental health issue problem.
Okay.
Yes.
Does that make sense? Is that making sense to you? I think that's profound, that you're saying, and I'll ask you to repeat it, that mental health is not Maybe I'll let you
Okay.
say it again.
Yes. Mental health is not the absence of a mental disorder. Right now, if I asked the participants, how mentally healthy are you? Everybody say, I'm very much mentally healthy. Why? Because you don't have depression. True or false? And yet, mental health is not, you do not equate it to absence of a mental disorder. Why is it so? I might have a mental health problem, and one of the mental health problems is stress. The other one is burnout. If I am experiencing stress and burnout, I am not mentally healthy. If I've been diagnosed with schizophrenia, if I've been diagnosed with alcohol use disorder, I'm not mentally healthy. So mental health is more than the absence of a mental disorder.
All right.
Yes.
We've got that.
Yes.
I certainly have. I will then ask the question to Mary Ben. So you said that you've experienced mental health challenges over 6 years or so and then went into this space. What made you think I'm not okay? Is it something obvious? Low-lying depression, that's very low-lying. We don't even know what that really is if you've never experienced mental health. Is it something catastrophic that spurred you on? If you're happy to talk about yourself personally, because I think the students don't often get to hear from a champion, somebody who has experienced it, come through it, and is now navigating in that space professionally.
Yeah, actually, I like talking about it, and one of the things that made me understand or realize that I was not okay was when I started locking myself up in the house. I used to stay in the house for a whole 1 month and not leave, and I feel like I'm okay. I used not to eat. I would have probably one meal within 2 or 3 days, both because of circumstances, because I was broke, and because I just didn't have appetite for food. And also by that season, actually, to be very honest, I didn't also like showering. And that is one of the signs you're not okay. So each and every time I would feel like taking a shower, I would feel like water is just choking me. It's literally choking life out of me. And self-sabotage or hatred. I would wake up in the morning and just ask myself, why am I living? Why am I here? What is my worth? And I always equate it to the Bible verse that says, is there anything good that can come out of Nazareth? And that is one thing I used to tell myself, is there anything good that can come out of Mary Ben? Am I beautiful enough? Am I worthy? Am I living my purpose? Do I understand myself? And another thing that contributed was the kind of environment I had, my friends. People who didn't understand what I was going through. My relationship at that time, or rather that relationship at that time, was contributing to it. But as time went by, there's one thing I realized, like it was a key for me, and it's one of the things I train individual on. It's confidence. I realized I lacked confidence in who I am. And when you asked about students coming now to the university, and then he spoke about the peer pressure, you're walking in there, someone is having iPhone 12 or 14, someone is driving a Mercedes, you don't have that, and you're coming from a poor background. All that, I would equate it to confidence. If you understand yourself, and you understand where you're coming from, and you understand your vision, you'll realize it will be so easy for you to avoid this other side of that line of depression. And one of the things she mentioned about mental health is not the absence of mental illnesses. One of the things that I've realized, it has become the norm in our, let me call it the Gen Z, because they are the Gen Z, is that we are trying now to normalize depression. We are trying now to look at depression as the real deal. When you ask them, are you okay? I'm depressed. What is the issue? I'm depressed. Someone breaks up, they have they're in a relationship, they've parted ways, I'm depressed. They don't understand what is depression. And I'll tell you what is depression. Depression is pure darkness. You wake up in the morning and all you see is just darkness. You don't understand yourself. You don't want to eat. You don't want to sleep. The only thing you can do is just sleep. Because you believe if you sleep, you're sleeping your problems away, or your problems will sleep away. You don't want to shower. You can't eat. You can't talk to anyone. Your value decreases. You feel like you don't have a reason to live. But when you're about to have your exams, it is not depression. There are two types of stress. We have the distress, which is the chronic stress, and we have the EU stress, that each and every time someone tells you, I want to travel, I want to go to Mombasa, I don't know what I'm putting on, I'm so depressed. No. That is the EU stress, because there is a joy after it. You're supposed to sit for your exams, you're getting excited, you don't know if you're going to perform well or you're going to underperform. That is the EU stress. You have probably, I always say, you never know. We have people in campus who are getting married. You're preparing for that marriage or the wedding. That is an EU stress. So in as much as you are championing for mental health, I wouldn't want us to get to a point whereby, you see right now we are normalizing HIV, and you see everyone taking it as normal, and you get people saying that I would rather get HIV than having pregnancy. It's because we've championed for HIV so much that we are making it look normal, and that is the disadvantage of it. I wouldn't want us to get to a point whereby we are now normalizing suicide. You look at people just throwing, I want to commit, or rather, nowadays we don't say commit suicide, we say die by suicide. They want to normalize, I want to die by suicide. We feel like it's something to glorify, but it's not.
Okay. Point noted. Sure.
Normalization that we are talking about is we don't want to continue speaking about mental health. We need to come forth. Can you have a conversation with a colleague? If you realize you could be having depression, can you speak with a friend? That's the normalization that we are talking about. So that if I asked you, if I told you I have an appointment with a psychiatrist, how would you look at me? You get it? That's what I mean. Then something else someone might be asking could be, how can I tell my friend is not okay? When it comes to mental health, the red flag is behavior change, as you have heard from her. She could not go out any longer. She was not eating. She was not showering. So what is the red flag that someone might not be okay? Behavior change. Yes.
Behavior change.
Yes.
We're hearing you. Therefore, just taking on both comments and asking Dean Kato, two questions. One is the impact of social media on the mind of Gen Z. There's an obsession. You know, when I was growing up, we didn't have social media, so it didn't really matter. The only thing going on in my life was what was around me. That was it. So if your girlfriend has a new boyfriend, then you'll only know because you can see it, or any other such thing. But here, the young adult is seeing the girl in England or wherever this thing must be. I'm watching suicide online. I'm young, I'm 14, I'm 20. I didn't see suicide until we were grown, and many will never see it. I'm not saying seeing it physically, but you know, you're on campus and you hear somebody has passed. The impact of social media on the young mind and what it is doing. That's my first question, and the impact on your students in Uganda. And number two is, what is the government in Uganda doing around this space of mental health?
Thank you so much. I think my sister mentioned something about orientation. We are repackaging our orientation programs. Previously, we were doing orientation for a week, and we later discovered that 1 week was not enough. And also, these days we have changed. Instead of inviting all the students at the same time with the freshers, we say the continuing students will report after 2 weeks, when we have had enough time with the new students. Because previously, when they report at the same time, the old students would tell them, don't go there, we know what they are going to tell you. You come and we educate you. So now we have enough time with them, and also creating a network of referrals. Because as Dean of Students, I'm not an expert in all areas, but I must have a friend who's an expert with mental health. I must have a friend who's an expert counselor and so on. So we have created a network of referrals. Actually, before I left Uganda, my vice chancellor whispered to me and said we should start collaborations with Butabika Hospital. Butabika Hospital is the mental health hospital in Uganda, the biggest of its kind. Because the freshers that came in had been in vacation for 2 years because of COVID. So they started abusing drugs, they started abusing alcohol. Actually, around 30% of these new students are using drugs. And every week we have a case. So we are thinking of opening up collaborations with hospitals like our sister, the hospital she runs. And of course, social media, we need to talk to the young ones about it, its benefits and its demerits. Of course, social media has the good side and the bad side. So we must talk about the good side also. And also, sensitization should be increased. We need to put up the indicators of mental health, the symptoms, so that these students know. Someone may think I'm okay, and yet they are not.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, thank you.
The second part of my question was, what is the government doing in Uganda in the space of mental health?
For now, the government has not done much. They come, politicize, talk big, but action is little. So I think with our concerns, with such summits, when we come up with write-ups and so on, we need to send them to government so that they know that this is a serious challenge that we are facing as universities, as schools, as administrators.
As students?
As students.
Right, okay. I'm going to open the question now to students, and any of you can go first. The mic is coming round. This is one of the spaces where you might be able to tell, sitting here on the panel, whether Gen Z actually do want to talk about mental health in public. Let's see. Any questions from the floor?
I think they can also ask for a friend.
Yeah, you can also ask for a friend. You don't have to ask for you. You can ask for a friend. All right, the mic is coming round. So there has to be 2 questions from that section. Everybody on that side. 2 questions there, 2 questions from the middle row, and 2 questions from the left. Otherwise, we're not leaving the stage. It's looking good. All right, first question. Welcome,
Good afternoon,
sir.
all. I'm Joachim Remoy, Director of Academics, Chuka University Student Association.
Sorry, didn't hear you. Director of?
Academics.
At?
Chuka University.
All right.
So, and I have one question. We as student leaders, maybe you can expound to us, how can we identify students who are suffering from mental illness and they are not willing to open up or maybe speak up? How can you identify that they are suffering? Because they end up committing suicide without telling us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'll put that question to Daktari here. Next question, while she's putting her thoughts together.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
My name is Michelle Mwakazi. I'm a social work student at Catholic University. And my question goes to Dr. Ngundi. You mentioned that peer education is needed for matters mental health among the youth. And my question is, in what ways are you partnering with the youth to ensure that this is met?
Okay. 2 questions there. Looking for 2 questions over there. So, Daktari, you've got 2. I've got 2 other panelists. Please, on that side. 2 questions on that side.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Marion, Chairperson Peer Counseling, Catholic University. Okay, my question goes to, is it Mary Ben, the lady in the middle?
Yes, Mary Ben.
Yeah. So here is a situation whereby you have a friend and you know they are not okay, but for them, they feel they're okay. Now, what are the ways you can use to make them realize that they are not okay?
Thank you. Looking for another question from that side of the floor? And we don't move. There's a question. Okay. Thank you.
Thaddeus Kaisa, a graduate from the School of Nursing. I have a question for the panel that we have championed the mental wellness of girl child, and basically we're forgetting about boy child. What is it that we are supposed to do, or what is supposed to be made in public so that we have that inclusivity of boy child in mental health? Thank you.
Did you say boy child?
Yes.
Okay. I'll put that question to our dean. All right. Coming to this side of the floor. This side. This side. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay, I just have one question.
Sure.
I think to the doctor. Can an individual overcome mental health issues by having a routine, like a daily routine? And my second question is, do we really need medication, or just therapy alone can be a solution to mental health problems?
Okay, 2 questions there. One more on this side, and then I'll come to the lady here.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, my name is Kevin. I'm a student at the Catholic University of East Africa. And here is my question. Most of us, like me personally, I come from the slum and have come to realize one thing. Number one thing is that those who live in the slum are quite stressed out. You see, they do not have that stable job. They depend in juakali eating, and this causes them more of stress. And I was just requesting or coming to just to ask, what are the procedures that you have come with so that we can reach those people who are at the ground level to also get sensitized about the mental issue, and how can we really help them before things went wrong?
Okay. Thank you. We've got 6 questions to go, and then there are a couple of more here which I will come back to. Maybe Mary Ben? I'll have you go first.
I'll start by responding to his question. He has asked, he comes from the slum. So with that, it's very simple. We require someone who's on the ground to reach out to some of us actually, to reach out to Chiromo, to reach out to different champions, for us to bring a transformation to the slum. Because I may not know what that slum, or rather that group, is going through, because I've never been to that area. Okay. So when you reach out to other people, or you attend such forums, and you just speak to any advocate or Chiromo hospital, just speak to someone. They will be able, or rather we will be able to bring that initiative to the ground and see how are we able to assist people. Now back to her question, she asked if you feel your friend is not okay, but they're insisting they are okay. Now the most important thing is the friendship. It takes 2 to tango, and it takes you to help me understand that I'm not okay. And when I say that, it's not by you attacking the person, you're not okay, you have an issue, you have a problem. No, the person will start building a defense mechanism. But what happens is how you present the issue. How do you talk to the person? You start by just spending time with them. And for instance, when you realize probably I used to go out a lot and I no longer go out, and you just try to ask me in an indirect way, in a smart way, what do you think if we step out? Are you okay sitting in the house, or do you feel you'd be better breathing a different air outside? You see, you're already pulling me out based on what you want us to do, but I will not understand that it's what you feel it's best for me, but I'll be able to speak thinking that I'm helping you, but on the other way around, you're the one who is helping me to step out. And just keep on being polite. ask the person, if the person used to probably study and all of a sudden their study style has gone down, just again ask them, is there anything you want us to do? Is there anything you feel comfortable of us doing? If you start becoming polite and looking at the kind of language you're speaking, in other words, you're speaking through empathy, it will enable the other person to speak out. Okay. But if you start becoming defensive, the person will pick offense and build a defense mechanism. I always tell people, learn empathy. Empathy breaks any barrier within anyone they build.
All right. Did we answer your question, the lady at the top? Some guidelines on how to go about it with your friend? Okay. And to the gentleman here from the slum, will you get in touch with Daktari or Mary Ben when they leave the room so that you can be a champion for that, that issue in your area? Is that okay? And power to you. Well done. Okay. 2 questions were sent to Daktari.
Yes.
I'll have you tackle
Thank
those.
you. Yeah, I want to build up on what my colleague has said here. One of the things you can do to help a friend who seems to have the symptoms is something we call psychosocial support. Being there for that person. And even if it's important for that person to go see a doctor, can you accompany them? Can you give them a shoulder to lean on? That is one thing that works so much, especially with young people. And I don't want to emphasize on matters empathy. Empathy is everything in this life. Empathy is putting yourself in the shoes of that person. And once you're empathetic, then your language will change when you are dealing with that person. How do we identify students with mental health issues? Now, that becomes a challenge in a university setup because there are so many students. Now, this is where now we work with awareness, creating awareness amongst the students. This is where we work with the peer educators, because peer educators are doing different units, and therefore their impact is felt at the departmental level. So the more peer educators you have that know about the symptoms, the more mental awareness is addressed at the departmental levels. Even some faculty members may not know the symptoms of someone who has a mental illness. So can also the staff member, the faculty, can we create awareness among the faculty so that they can tell that student has changed. She used to participate in class, nowadays she is not. Then that lecturer can go a step further and engage that student. And I think lecturers, faculty play a major role in this journey of actually taking charge of matters mental health. Peer educators, yes, I don't want to, for sure, peer educators play a critical role at the university. How can we partner with them? I want to mention that Chiromo Hospital Group is ready to partner with any institution, even if it is training peer educators, because we want the impact felt. Chiromo Hospital Group is ready to train peer educators so that when they go to their university, they become ambassadors on matters mental health. Medication. More often than not, people believe that anybody with a mental disorder, you are supposed to get medication. No, it's not. Because every mental disorder is a spectrum. You could be depressed, but at different levels. Someone might have mild, moderate, moderately severe, and severe. You are only given medication by a psychiatrist when your symptoms have affected your normal functioning.
But you would have to first go through the counseling so that they can, so that then you're referred to a psychiatrist? Is that how it works?
This is what happens. You come to me, like Mary Bean will come to me, I'm feeling like this, I'm not sleeping, you get it? Then for me as a clinical psychologist, because I'm a clinical psychologist, I will take her through the assessment, those booklets. And because from the symptoms she tells me as a psychologist, I can tell these are symptoms of depression. But I can't tell her she has depression or symptoms. She has to do the assessment. Once she does the assessment, it will tell me, Mary Bean, pardon? The assessment, it will tell me, is she having mild, moderate, moderate severe, or severe depression? Sure. If it is severe, it is a must for her to take medication. If it's not severe, we do psychotherapy.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you. I can see that Claire is with me, and I haven't asked you any questions. Claire, can you hear us? Sound, guys, I can't get her. Claire?
Oh, she's lost.
Sorry.
Okay. Paul, as you try and do that, Dean, there was a question that was fielded to you. If I can give you the opportunity to share your thoughts on that.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is a reminder to all the dads that are in this congregation. We are missing somewhere. Because at Ndeje University, whenever there is an issue with a student, it is the mother that comes. Where are the dads? Where are you, the fathers? So that is why our boys are having challenges. They don't have a father figure to counsel them, to tell them what to do. I remember some years way back, there was a declaration that was made in China, and they were saying, let us promote the girl child. Now the girl child campaign has been on for over 30 years, and the boys have been forgotten. So this is the time, actually in Uganda, the Rotaract clubs in Uganda, their theme this year is to promote the boy child. So we have deliberate efforts to help the boys.
All right. But also I think that, yes, the girl child has gotten a lot of attention, but it is because the girl, the mother, the woman, the female, did the work. So we observe as females, women, moms, grandmas, that the men, the dads, the uncles, all the men are now smiling at me. You ain't pulling yourselves up to carry your boys with you. And I don't mean your biological child. I mean even a guy with his guy friend on campus. There's no mentorship in corporations, in corporate organizations. I don't think there's enough in government, certainly, where men have time to talk as men. Women, we talk. You know that. We do what we do. So we are less likely to be in that suicidal space. Not to say that we're not there, because they are there, or in the depressed state. But I think it's up to guys to start to champion your cause. There'll be the next session has a strong gentleman talking to us about leadership and ethics, and I hope he can touch on maybe what men are doing to also help men do stuff. And on campus, there are men I've met here, boys, students, who are champions of this, that, and the other. Some of you are in clubs and associations. I don't know what's happening in the mental health space here, but even if it's not about mental health, it's just to support the guy agenda, the male agenda. Is that a thing that can be done? Because I'm telling you, the women are not going to come and help the guy. I don't feel that we're doing that. I feel that we're kind of watching and hoping, and a guy will wake up, and some man, maybe the dean, the vice chancellors, etc., are going to wake up and do justice to the boy child.
Can I add on
Mary
that?
Ben, as we come to an end, I don't know if I can hear Claire. All right, Claire. Just a minute before you come on. All right. All right. I will let Mary Ben answer, and then we'll try Claire again.
Yeah, just to add up on the men issue, you know, statistics has it that 70% of suicide, actually the suicide attempts or suicide deaths, are men. But one of the things I got to learn that I work with men closely is the lack of confidence. Men are losing their confidence and understanding who they are.
Can the sound guys just switch Claire off, please? Because we're not getting her. Thank you.
men are losing confidence on who they are. They don't understand their position. In as much as we are championing for women empowerment, there's one thing I always tell people: I champion for women empowerment, but I'm not a feminist. The reason is, one of the key reasons about men is that you guys are the men. You are the top. The issue is the kind of social influence we have, or rather the influencers under men are now calling, probably if you do something or you become a man, you're simping or you're doing this or doing that. The kind of male empowerment, or can I call them the male chauvinist, that you guys look up to, indirectly they break you and they reprogram your psychology. So you end up not believing in yourselves. You end up believing that we need to champion for you. But do you know we don't need to champion for the men? Because you have the power. The reason as to why we always call women that we are the weaker sexes, we are not even the weaker sexes, but we have the sixth sense that makes us become more of a natural. We nurture you people. We take care of our environment, but you are the power that are supposed to lead us. But you don't understand in your own leadership. You don't believe in your own leadership. You can imagine this. One of the gentlemen here can just start their own club as men to try and transform your own selves, to try and bridge up career development, financial empowerment, and all that. Once you start doing that, you will realize you start transforming the people around you, step by step. Step by step. You don't need the dean to stand up and start transforming all of you. No. Transformations come from within. And it only takes one person to transform a village. Only one person. Because of how you look at yourself, how you value yourself, and how you understand your own authority as a man. When you start doing that, trust you me, we will not have whatever is going through or whatever is happening right now, sorry. And another thing is, when you learn yourself and have confidence as a man, you will understand what you need, what you don't need, and what you don't have to condone. Thank you.
Thank you. And when we say that, we don't mean that's for every guy, that there's every gentleman is having a problem. It's just saying to the gentlemen that are more self-secure, and remember, life is cyclical. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. The ones that are okay, reach out to your other brother. And I think, as Mary Ben is saying, don't get the women too involved in your space, because we come with some other stuff too, which you don't need. I would like to draw this session to a close. I just think that the men know what they need, they know what they need to do, and it's just almost like just as Mary Ben has said, just giving yourselves permission to do it. It's not that easy, it's not that difficult, it's just the mindset. Can I ask the panelists to just draw one conclusion as we draw this session to a close, beginning with Dr. Ari?
Thank you for the opportunity.
Just one comment? Thank
Yes.
you.
Hello. Okay. Thank you very much, and thank you for this conversation. I just wanted to mention something that I think it would be wise for Dr. Rose to mention. I also was a survivor of the Al-Shabaab attack some time back and developed PTSD. As much as I love the fact that we're talking about collaborations and the fact that you offer services, it's expensive.
Yes.
Therapy is very expensive. I don't even want to get into the figures, but what I would be very interested to know, in your collaboration with, say, Catholic University, how are you supporting the students who are, they don't have jobs at the moment? For myself, if I did not have a job, I would have not been able to afford treatment to be able to be where I am right now.
Okay.
So I'd like you to touch on collaboration with younger people. How are you supporting them? Because I think we agree that therapy is very expensive.
Thank you for that. I must say that in every partnership we engage in, matters to do with the treatment is always part of the partnership. So for instance, if we got into partnership with Catholic University, then what will be negotiated is matters, the payment, the charges, the costs. So I will not tell you that they will be paying this amount of money, but there will be a deduction out of the partnership. That's what we have done with other organizations. And what we do once we get into that, we have signed so many MOUs. And in part of that MOU is a cost of treatment for the people concerned. Yes.
Okay.
So I was to say something.
Yeah.
Self-awareness is the heartbeat of change. You will never change until you are self-aware. Pursue knowing yourself and understanding yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mary Ben, over to you.
I'm a transformative speaker, and one of the things I tell people, more so the young ones here, if you want to succeed in life, literally in whichever career you are, you need to know, or rather you need to have 3 people in your life. Number 1, you need to have a mentor. Pray about it and ask God to lead you to the right mentor, someone who is able to see, guide, and lead you through your success. Number 2, you need a coach, someone who is able to help you become the best in the market. I don't believe in average, I only believe in the best. Number 3, you need a therapist. All of us have our baggage, we need to whine, we need to scream, but one of the beauteous thing is that you need a therapist because they'll be able to see your problem from a different angle. What you call orange, perhaps it's black. What you feel like it's a problem, perhaps it's a challenge. So get those 3 people and you'll see your life take a different turn. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, comments from Mr. Kato from Uganda.
Thank you so much. One quick one. Mental health is here. Mental health is real. So I'm calling upon the university administrators, the top administrators, to set up networks, collaboration, so that we can help the youth, so that we can help our students. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. There's just one question somebody's asked me to ask before I let you go. As much as adults get stressed, do children of 10 years or less also get stressed? 10 years or less?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
Only that how they communicate it is different. And more often than not, when you find children having what you'd say is abnormal behavior, it could be a way of coping with what they are going through. Children observe. By the way, sorry to say, they also get depression. They get depressed, literally, clinical depression. They get it. And one of the things is when they are bullied in schools. Yes.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, can I get you to applaud our fantastic panel who have touched? Dr. Ngondi, thank you very much. Dean Kato, karibu sana to Kenya, and thank you very much. And Mary Ben. I think that was a very, very necessary conversation, and I certainly have learned a lot. I think it's finding platforms where people actually talk about this is not easy, and we appreciate all the questions as well. Remember to reach out, the gentleman over there, remember to reach out to Daktari or Mary Ben and anybody else who needs any further information. So, I'm going to move on to the third last session of today, but we might combine the last ones. This is the EACC. Often, if you're a Kenyan, you get a bit intimidated by this organization. By this organization, but however, the gentleman who's going to speak to us is extremely kind and he doesn't look very scary. He will be speaking to us about the space of ethics and leadership. Let me give the full title: Entrenching Ethics, Values and Integrity in Skilling the East Africa's Next Generation of Public and Private Sector Leaders, which is you in the audience. He will be joined, he's the session president for this, who will give us his speech. He'll be joined by Reverend Professor Majawa from Catholic University of East Africa. I hope Professor is here with us. He is. We will also be joined, he'll also be joined by Sister Dr. Veronica Ropp, who is a senior lecturer here at the Catholic University of Eastern Africa in the space of social justice and ethics. And finally, he will be joined by Esther Mushiri, the Vice Chair for the County Public Service Board. She looks after the 47 Public Service Board area legal advisor. So, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Mr. CPA John Loy Koloi, Director of the EACC. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Yeah, my name is CPA John Lol Koloi, Director Ethics at EACC. I think we'll have to adjust this because of my height. Thank you for the session that has just ended. I want to say that I have benefited quite a lot hearing the issues of burnout and stress. I thought the doctors were talking about me, but I will really get some assistance. So I'm going to speak to us about entrenching ethics, values, and integrity in skilling East Africa's next generation of public and private sector leaders. And more often when we hear about EACC, most people do not know what it is in full. You'll hear people talk about East Africa, but it is Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. So I'm here to represent our CEO, and I will read the speech. So chief guests, distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen, allow me on behalf of the EACC to express our gratitude to the organizers of this summit for the invitation and opportunity to make remarks on the topic of entrenching ethics, values, integrity in higher education and out-of-school youth initiatives. The EACC is the principal agent mandated to fight corruption through law enforcement, prevention, public education, and promotion of standards and practices of integrity, ethics, and anti-corruption. The education and awareness programs of the EACC seek to elicit support of the public in the fight against corruption. Ladies and gentlemen, in recognition to that the youth of today are tomorrow's leaders, and indeed even today, the Commission has dedicated a programmatic activities towards inculcation of values among the youth in an endeavor to have them embrace integrity and develop intolerance for corruption. The programs and activities implemented in the institution of learning include the following. Probably you may need to find out if some have reached your institution. Number one is partnering with the Ministry of Education. We launched establishment of integrity clubs in the year 2010, targeting the youth in all institutions of learning in Kenya. 2, training and commissioning of teachers selected from primary and secondary schools and colleges to be in charge of integrity clubs in the respective institutions. Number 3 is training university student leaders to address the problems related to unethical conduct and corruption in Kenya. The Commission conducts sensitization visits to institutions of higher learning and all levels, both primary and university, with the aim of educating the students and teachers on ethics and integrity and anti-corruption. Then finally, hosting integrity clubs, conferences for the universities. At the Integrity Club conference that brought together the Integrity Club members from 7 universities in the Nyanza region, we held that conference in Nyanza region in 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the goals of education in any country is to promote the social, economic, technological, and industrial needs for the national development of that country. Education should therefore prepare the youth to play an effective and productive role in the life of a nation. The national examinations in Kenya have been ongoing for this month at the various levels. Unfortunately, the process has almost been militarized in an attempt to deal with examination malpractices, and to date, incidences of attempted cheating have been reported, with the culprits arrested and arraigned in court. The Commission has been investigating over 170 allegations of falsification of academic certificates involving those seeking employment, those already in employment, those seeking elective positions, and also those who are already in elective positions. Several individuals have been charged and convicted of forgery of academic certificates, and I want you to listen to this. And monies earned, recovered, all the monies that you earn while working, having used forged certificates, all that money is recovered, and we have several cases before court. In the universities, cases of plagiarism, bribery, and other unethical practices for grades are still rampant. The Commission opines that if these issues of forgery of academic certificates are not addressed, the major stakeholders in the education sector charged with issuance and certification of academic certificates, as well as current prospective employers, the job market in the country will be infiltrated by unscrupulous individuals who will have robbed honest candidates of employment opportunities and undermine the legitimacy and reputation of the academic status of any nation. In addition to securing more opportunities to promote unethical conduct and cause more harm to employers and citizens in general. So you are talking about individuals with fake certificates getting employed and going there to work in crucial sectors, including in the medical field, or even going to purport to build roads or even buildings. To tame the rising cases of forgeries of academic certificates, we at EACC are doing our part, but by investigating these cases and recommending individuals concerned to be charged, as well as filing recovery suits to recover the monies earned. In a recent judgment, the court ruled that monies earned by individuals who secure employment using forged certificates are fraudulently earned and should be recovered. So it's fraudulently earned because you are using forged documents, so that is income that is fraudulently earned, and there are people who have recovered money for work that they have done for over 7 years. As EACC, we issue advisories to institutions in the public sector, requiring them to undertake verification of certificates before offering jobs to candidates. We have also advised universities to enhance the security and accountability of their admission processes, to discourage or to identify those applying for courses using forged certificates, and also put in place measures to prevent academic malpractices. Now, in addition to cases of forgery of academic documents and irregularities in recruitment, mostly through nepotism, we have issues of those given jobs without proper qualification. We have also investigated and continue to investigate corruption and economic crimes cases, including those of abuse of office, payments for goods not supplied or services not rendered, embezzlement of funds meant for medical supplies, relief food, infrastructure projects, and conflict of interest among public officials who award themselves contracts instead of giving it to the people who are doing business, and yet they are required to supervise those projects. So they give themselves those contracts, and that is contrary to the law. The other issues that we investigate are illegal acquisition of public property and land, including some meant for schools, police stations, judiciary, and other social amenities. We have cases of public officials being in possession of unexplained wealth that is not commensurate with their known or legitimate sources of income. I wish to inform this esteemed summit that notable milestones have been made in the war against corruption, though much more needs to be done and will be done. In the last 4 years, and I want you to listen to this because I know this is one area that will elicit questions. In the last 4 years, 9 former and sitting governors were charged in court for abuse of office and unlawful acquisition of public property, and their cases are before court, while for some, cases are under investigations. The Commission has also forwarded files of other high-ranking officials, companies and their directors to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, and these files are currently under review by the ODPP. In the last 5 years, the Commission has recovered assets comprising cash, movable and immovable assets worth approximately 23.8 billion, and averted a loss, a potential loss of 36.5 billion through proactive investigations and disruption of corruption networks. In one instance, we disrupted a case of 3.8 billion in one institution. And by the time we commenced those investigations, they just canceled the tender. There are ongoing recovery cases in various courts for corruptly acquired assets, prosecution of suspects, as well as recovery of unexplained assets. Ladies and gentlemen, with these statistics and what has come to be referred to as the situation on the ground, you will agree with us that all is not well, and corruption and economic crimes and unethical practices have to be dealt with urgently, consistently, and decisively. With the rising unemployment, for example, cases of falsification of academic certificates, nepotism in recruitment, and bribery for employment are likely to be on the rise. And this calls for rethinking of our education system, our values, as we prepare the youth for life. Article 10 of the Kenyan Constitution provides for the national values and principles of governance. This includes the requirement for every person to abide by the values of good governance, integrity, transparency, and accountability. Further, Chapter 6 of the Constitution requires all state and public officers to abide by the leadership, ethics, and integrity standards in order to address the national challenges that are attributable to the low levels of public accountability, plunder of public resources, and unemployment. Allow me to quote the chairman of the EACC, Dr. David Oginde, when speaking on a different forum some time back. He identified 4 drivers of corruption in this country, in Kenya, and probably you can listen to this. So these 4 reasons are: number 1, impunity. We know impunity is what we say you do something and you get away with it. Number 2 is greed. Number 3 is the social pressures. I think we've heard about the iPhone 12 or 14, and spiritual bankruptcy. So we have those 4: impunity, greed, social pressures, and spiritual bankruptcy. When viewed holistically, these drivers can be ably eliminated both in the education sector and the country in general if we embrace ethical standards and behaviors. As I conclude, I wish to call each one of us to action, to be ambassadors of integrity at all times, always do what is right, to shun the evil of corruption. We also encourage all of you to be on the lookout and report any actual or suspected corruption or unethical conduct to the Commission for Action. I once again extend my sincere gratitude to the Corporate Career Academy and the Catholic University of Eastern Africa, for this opportunity for a candid interaction to reflect on East Africa's progress, share best practices, address barriers and promote community-wide collaboration to address the youth employment challenge. To the East Africa's next generation of public and private sector leaders, do not be lured by ill-gotten wealth or shortcuts in what you do or should not do. For many have destroyed their reputations, professions, and lives. And therefore, it's important that we abide by ethical values, be honest in all your dealings, be committed, diligent, professional, and responsible in all your endeavors. And you will no doubt succeed. A blessed and honorable success. And to us all, not just the students, let us do likewise. I look forward to more fruitful engagement as we work together to tackle the challenges of integrity in the education sector. Let us strive for a value and integrity-driven society. I will leave you with the words of the immediate former head of state, Uhuru Kenyatta, during a speech he made on a Mashujaa Day in 2019. And this is what he said. In each one of us lies the seed of greatness, of heroism. Every Kenyan, and in this case we can say every East African, should plant that seed in the fertile soil of integrity, water it with hard work and commitment to duty, grow it only in the direction of the light of the truth and justice, and reap from the tree only those fruits that have been born from our rightful efforts. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, CPA John Lolkoloi, Director at EACC. We have our panel with us, and I'm looking for the moderator, Mr. Samuel Otieno, who's the Managing Director and the Principal Officer of NCBA. Karibu, sir. He's the Managing Director and Principal Officer of NCBA Bank Assurance East Africa. This is part of the NCBA group, and he's also an ordained pastor. We have our panelists. I'll just repeat who they are. We have Reverend Professor Majawa from Catholic University of East Africa. Welcome again, sir. We have Sister Dr. Veronica Rob, also from this university. Welcome, sister. She talks in the space of social justice and ethics. We have with us Esther Mushiri, Vice Chair. Welcome, Esther. Vice Chair of the County Public Service Board. She looks after the 47 legal advisors in the 47 counties. She's also a lecturer of law at this university. And your moderator, Samuel Otieno, Managing Director and Principal Officer, NCBA, and an ordained pastor. I'm putting the ordained pastor so we can talk about the issues of ethics. Karibu, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Praise the Lord.
Amen.
Praise the Lord again. Yes, my name is Samuel Otieno Odhiambo. I am the Managing Director for the Bank Assurance business for NCBA. And as you've heard, I'm also an ordained pastor. My wife and I lead Divine Hope Restoration Center, which is along Thika Road. And the Lord has allowed us to serve him in that capacity. I consider myself a minister of the gospel, and that my biggest platform is within the marketplace. So we consider ourselves apostles in the marketplace, and we preach Jesus through our leadership, exemplifying values, integrity, virtue, and all the works that we are discussing this afternoon. So it's quite a pleasure and an honor to be part of this great endeavor that is organized by the Corporate Career Academy. And I think it's a great conversation to have. I want to welcome you to this conversation that we'll have in the next few minutes. Given that we've run behind time, we are going to condense it to just about 30 minutes, and I think we have an eminent panel of speakers, and we are going to be having this conversation with them. No need to introduce them again. I think they've been properly introduced by our moderator. But I want to start by asking a question to the plenary before we start. And the question is very simple, maybe two questions. The first one would be, would you prefer being the richest man in the room or the most ethical person in the room? So if you prefer to be the richest, please raise your hand. Let me see. Richest? Okay. How many would prefer being the most ethical? So fewer hands. All right. So our work is cut out for us, as you can see. There is a price, an opportunity cost. When you want to be ethical, it doesn't always mean you can be rich. In the words of Aristotle, he says that man should be seeking to be ethical before he achieves being happy, or being rich for that matter. And so today we are faced with that dilemma of whether to prioritize ethics, virtue, integrity, etc., in the place of riches and wealth. So I want to start off our line of questions, and I think we'll start with Mr. John. And in the most simplistic terms, could you tell us what your understanding is of what ethical leadership is?
Thank you very much for that question. Ethical leadership is the leadership that follows sound moral principles that are accepted by society, that have been accepted, say, in a given situation in a country. And now I just want to link it up with Chapter 6 of our Constitution, which actually talks about values and principles of integrity, and they include issues of honesty. When you talk about employment, you are talking about selecting people on the basis of personal integrity and suitability. You are looking at objectivity in decision making, impartiality, being accountable. If there are any interests for you in a matter, you're supposed to declare those interests. And then you are also supposed to have selfless service. That service that is beyond you and that is for common good. So that leadership that seeks to serve, and that same chapter 6 tells us that those who have been given positions of authority, they need to understand two things. Number one is that leadership bestowed upon you is a position of trust, and it is for you to serve and not to rule over the people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. I think the next question will go to Reverend Clement. And the question is simple. Today we have a battle between personal values and the values of institutions. How can we bridge the gap between the two? You can use the other one, yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. So thank you very much again for that question. I think we need to go to the foundation or the basis of what I've just said. And again, we go to the teaching or maybe formation at all levels, whereby when we talk about education, teaching, training, it must touch the three fundamental areas, which sometimes, again, we forget. Number one, informative information. We can acquire information from various sources. But again, number two, formation of heart. Because when we are talking about ethical, moral leadership, sometimes it's only informative. You're talking about knowledge, but they don't have time to discern. So that will be the second area which is very, very important. And then finally, transformation. When you have got all these, together, then again you will see later on to realize transformation, ethical leadership, on the ground. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Clement. I just want to check with the rest of the panel if you have additional comments to that question. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. I think I have an additional aspect because the question is how do you incorporate, bridge the gap between values of an institution and values that are substantially expected, maybe through the law. So I think first is to say that it would be very important for all organizations and institutions to borrow a collaborative approach whenever they're coming up with institutional values from the law. So that you see, we do not get to say that there is an assumption that the law does not exist, but then it prevails to extend the operationalization and implementation of that law to the extent that if, for example, the Constitution under Article 10 provides for the values and principles of good governance that relate to the values of transparency and accountability, issues of honesty, issues of equality, we should also incorporate that because they are comparatively quite important in every institution. So they can be improved or they can be incorporated in the values of an institution rather than having a divergent direction away from what the law says. And that way, institutions will be enabling the compliance with the provisions of the law and also with the provisions of the relevant statutes that we have in the country. So basically, I would say, yes, it is very important that institutions get to actualize the provisions of the law in their values. Whichever way they try to do it, let it be something that is being incorporated in the systems, in the values and objectives of every institution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's just hear from Sister Veronica. Before you go, let's get an announcement from him.
Thank you, and sorry for interrupting. I'm looking for two representatives, one from SPDC, representing Elisha Batuti, then the other one representing JCVs. Let's meet at the VIP holding room now. Thanks.
Thank you. You can go ahead.
Thank you. I'll approach this and answer it from spiritual perspective. That we are people created by God, and as persons we have a dignity which gives us rights and a dignity which gives us respect. Laws, as we might have seen in the 10 Commandments, are not there to punish us. Laws are given so that it can regulate our lives. It can give us life. And God says in His word that I give you to choose death or life. And we are here, we can choose whatever we want. If we want life, then we can observe, and we have seen that corruption, or what we have mentioned here, does not help us. So we have to be intentional and choose life and choose the right thing. Ethics is about choosing the right and knowing also that there is a wrong way of acting. and the results are there for us. As a human person, God created us. We have intellect, we have free will. But we can use our intellect to do the right thing and do what fuels us as a people, or use our free will to decide whatever. And I want to say that if a law is there and we have all agreed, that does not make it right either. Do what gives us life. People of other countries, we have seen they have given even laws. You can commit suicide if you want, and everybody agrees. It is not when there are many people who have agreed, you can be alone and stand for what is right. So as we have discussed, then we choose life, and it is up to us. And the students, we were asked, what do we want? Money or to be ethical? Do you know you can get money through being ethical? Go for money and you can do corruption, anything, and you will be kicked out. Or you will not sleep. Mental health. If you have gotten money out of ill, will you be sleeping? No. So, but if it is in a correct way, then hard work pays and you'll be happy.
Wow, very interesting. I see, Reverend, you have an additional comment?
Yes. I began by saying that we need, 3 areas which will come to consideration. Information, formation, and again transformation. Now, when we talk about values, about ethics, you've got to understand where are they coming from. And I think many people would say they are coming from God. And to understand it, because I insist on these 3, because you get people who are knowledgeable. They have got a little of degrees regarding these things. But on the ground, you see the opposite, and you ask why. I think we go to the book of Genesis. When God created us, we are told in Genesis 1:27, he created human beings in his image. Image coming from God. But again, it's very interesting when you go to Genesis 7. He molded a human being and he breathed. And I want to communicate something very important from that area. In the breath of God, there are 5 values, ethical values, which are very important. Number 1, it is a spiritual soul. You and me have got something which was designed from above. But again, number 2, he gave us reason, intellect, each one on himself or herself, to know what is right and again what is wrong. My colleague, the sister was saying, we have a moral responsibility to do what is right, and that which contradicts that, to say no. But third area, third faculty, that is conscience. Conscience. And again, when we are talking about formation, conscience of people, conscience of ourselves has to be trained. And then fourth factor, common sense, the value of common sense, which although people say is not that common. That is something which is enshrined in, for example, natural law. We have to do something which is in line with natural law. Today, there are these sensitive issues, about, human sexuality, people of the same sex and all that. People will say, when you look at it holistically, is it in line with natural law? Of course, there could be some factors, influencing that. So each individual has got to do it, to make a decision based on natural law. Ethics, values, they must be inculcated in natural law. And then you come to common good. If I behave in this way, do others feel, comfortable? I was really impressed by, what we were sharing about, mental health, okay, psychic. But I thought the area also of spirituality is very important. That's why today people will talk about psychosomatic spiritual counseling. To do, yes, with the body, to do, yes, with the psychic, but also the spiritual values. So these five, when they are understood properly, imparted from our students, from learners, from the earliest stage up to the highest stage, I think then that issue of establishment or realizing or experiencing ethics, values, I think it will be attainable. Thank you.
Thank you. I see that John wants to mention something.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that's a very, very important question. Let me just add, I know it's been excellently answered, but from our perspective, I've been in investigation for 18 years. What I would advise, because when you ask that question, the assumption is that the individual values and ethical, the individual is ethical, and probably it's the institution that has problems. So what we advise in such instances is that as a person of integrity, stand firm and do not be coerced into doing wrong things. I know I'm in the company of ordained persons, eminent persons, but somewhere in the book of Romans it talks about not conforming yourself to the standards of this world, including unethical conduct and corruption. So stand firm and also try to see how you can change. I'll give an example of one case we did in one of the ministries. So there was this senior director who used to ask people to go and collect interest, and once they have signed for it, she tells them to take the money to her, and then she will later account for that money. So there was one individual who said, as long as I'm not in charge of that program, let me return the money to the cash office, then somebody else can go. Now the person who eventually went, and many others, were given fake documents of workshops that never took place, people who were paid, and we charged them in court. But this person ended up being a witness because he stood and said he could not compromise his values. So stand with your values and also try to bring change wherever you are. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we'll take one last one from Veronica. Do you want to mention something?
Oh,
you're good.
Esther,
sorry.
Yeah. I think most of the spaces I've been to are in the public spaces. Being the vice chair of the County Public Service Board means that what the board does is a lot of recruitment. And of course in this public sector, and Bwana Director here will bear me witness, there's a lot of exposure to corruption. And at one point you have, before you even advertise, there'll be those people calling, asking you, when are you going to advertise? Please make sure that you consider me for those positions. That is unethical in the first place. Then in the second place, immediately you advertise for a position. There will be those calls coming in, I have seen this position, I've been so desperate. All manner of scenarios will be posed to you with the intent to probably favor one person against another. You get. Then at the point when you're shortlisting, of course, they go to the extent of even offering money. And I understand, of being in that space has made me understand that what exactly it means to be in a space where there is a very high level of unemployment, and at the same time there is a very high level of vulnerability to become a corrupt person. But then the one thing to answer the question about institutional values, and also to do with the law, the one thing that comes out very profound is, what is your character as a person? What are your values? What are your principles as a leader? Okay, to the extent that are you able to say no? Yes, at some point there are those offers. Of course, being the fact that you're working with governments, that means there's a lot of pressure from our bosses that you must do this or else I will remove the budget from your docket, a certain budget. So it means that you're going to a level of making the situation desperate in the operations of such an organization or a board. So the question is, what is your value as a leader? What do you stand for? Okay, and that is why I tend to agree with him when he talks about standing on the bounds of the law. Okay, and then I tend to agree with them, standing on the bounds of what is morally right, and also what is natural to you, to the extent that the grounding basically for me has been, what are my principles as a person? What would I do even when no one was looking? Even when EACC, they're always on our neck. Even if EACC is not looking, what would be the right thing to do? And the right thing is you employ a person, or you shortlist that person, interview that person with a lot of objectivity, with a lot of, this is a human being that is before you, and a human being that prays to God, a human being with people with expectation, and that human being has legitimate expectation as well. And the only way the corruption can be shunned in our institutions, is ensuring that we have values, valued people with values arising to get into those spaces where they're supposed to demonstrate leadership. And also ensuring that as you demonstrate leadership, you ask yourself the question, what if God was watching, which he always does, would he be proud of your decision? Of course, we have different people with different belief systems in this podium, but then at the end of the day, are you comfortable with the decision that you've made? Okay, so that is the part about ethics. And the most important thing, I walk by the part about conscience. What is your conscience? Even if the law does not get to catch up with you, where is your conscience in that decision? And no wonder I stand by this principle. I usually say, once you become flexible with your principles as an individual or as a society, your moorings and allegiance to liberty and justice and ethics will be impossible. So the moment you begin to vary, today you're principled, tomorrow you're not principled. Today you have values, tomorrow you don't, then at that point you have lost it when it comes to ethical grounding as a person, and you ought not to be in the public space or even in the private space as a leader. Yeah.
Wow, very interesting insights coming through. So what I'm hearing is that this goes back to you as an individual in terms of what Reverend has spoken about, what information, what is the source of your information, and what is the source of your influence? What makes you take the decisions that you're taking? Ultimately, if your source of information is wrong, you will end up with the wrong outcome, right? And that information is what educates the principles on which you're going to revolve and to make your decisions around. So I think thanks a lot, all of you, for that. I think ethics is a very deep subject. We may not be able to unpack it fully here. In the words of Porter Stewart, the philosopher, he says that ethics is knowing the difference between what you have a right to do and what you ought to do. It means, therefore, that it goes beyond chapter 6, John. It goes beyond chapter 6 because sometimes the law will favor something that is actually not the right thing to do, isn't it? And I think Reverend Professor has actually spoken about it. If the law of the land changes to support same-sex marriages, for example, does that then become the right thing to do? So your source of information is what will actually guide you. And I want us to have very practical conversations today because we are talking about the next crop of leaders that will influence this country. And my first question is going to go to John, because we are talking government. There is a narrative that has been perpetuated in Kenya that you cannot make it unless you cut corners. Is it true? The people we see rich, if you see a very rich person on the road, you say it's either Illuminati or corruption, isn't it? You hardly think of, this guy must have worked really hard. So the question I want to pose to John, and of course to Esther as well, because you're in public sector, is there a fighting chance for a morally sound, ethical, integral person? Do they have a chance to get the right job? Do they have a fighting chance for promotion? Do they have a chance for survival? We've seen that, we don't have too many good examples, but we've seen the few that are there that have tried to stand by what is right. They say, I'm being fought because I'm doing the right thing, isn't it? So what narrative that then perpetuates is that you'd rather join the other side and just join the crowd that is going south. So let me start with John. Give us your views.
Thank you. Let me just go through that question again. It says you cannot make it unless you cut corners. So probably we ask ourselves, what does making it implies? Does it imply that you have billions in your accounts, you have houses all over this country, you have land that is staying idle, and you are in the midst of people who are poor? Sometimes probably those are some of the things that we think making it means. But to come to your question as to whether there is a fighting chance for fair opportunities and promotions for people who stand by the truth and by ethical practices, I will say yes, but with many, many challenges. And that is what we are trying to do, because like we have mentioned in the cases that we, in our statistics, people, a lot of nepotism, a lot of bribery, and a lot of, not following the law. But what we cannot do is we cannot gain the bandwagon and say, because everybody else is doing it, I also have to do it. We have to remain to be the light so that we can be the light for the others, and just stop what we call at EACC primitive accumulation of wealth. Today, depending on how much I have, I cannot wear 4 pairs of shoes at the same time. I cannot wear 3 trousers. Tonight I cannot sleep in 6 beds, neither can I eat 20 kilograms of meat. So I think the issue is for us to be contented to do the right thing and also to care about the others. Because all this wealth, we know the people who have had billions, we know the people who have done so much bad things to others in this country, and today they are not here. We are yet to see anybody going with anything that they have accumulated unlawfully or irregularly. Let us strive for doing the right thing, be contented with what we get, and strive to change society and to have that confidence. Because there are also so many people who have made it without being corrupt, without bending the rules. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I think being a young person and being the youngest, first of all, I'm the youngest vice chair of a board in Kenya. And secondly, I'm currently the acting chairperson of that board. Our chairperson just left last week. So, of course, on Tuesday, I held my first board meeting. And also, I'm the youngest, the legal advisor of all the CPSBs, that is the County Public Service Boards in Kenya, and definitely the youngest, okay? In COIA, I joined COIA as the youngest person at the Faculty of Law. That is the place that has molded me to become the person I am today. And still being a young person within the meaning of the Constitution, Article 260. Let me speak to these people from an experience point of view. My fellow young people, it is possible for you to be ethical, for you to get employment, for you to get opportunities, for you to get promotions without cutting corners. I'm an evidence of that. When I came to Queer, I knew no one. But I presented myself, I presented my credibility, and Queer chose a very young person. At that time, I was very young. Let me say very young because it was very young. At 26, I became a lecturer here. And I can tell you, it is possible because Queer made me believe that it was possible. I did not know any person here. Now, I turned to the public service and how I joined the board. And I can tell you the same thing, the same mystery. I did not know the governor. I did not know the people in the system. I presented myself and my credentials. And of course, it is a competitive process. And funnily enough, I emerged the best in both the interviews and in the vetting. Actually, I remember the MCAs were saying, who is this person that has come to teach us instead of re-vetting the person? Why? Here is the thing, young people. Your competences will speak for you. How you present yourself will speak for you. The calmness and the dignity you demonstrate out there will speak for you. And sometimes, yes, there will be incidences of people trying to create corners in terms of asking for something for them to do something for you. If you find yourself in such spaces, and I will align that question to the question about money versus ethics, stand with your ethics. I have had so many opportunities just slide because I refuse to pay bribes. Okay? Honestly speaking, that's the thing. Before I came to Queer, I had tried so many jobs. I had tarmacked a lot. And of course, there were those opportunities that would just go. One, because there was a person asking for sex for you to get the job. I'm saying this outrightly because these are young people. Those are the challenges you'll face out there. There will be a man that will look at you as a young, beautiful girl, and they will request you, if you want this job, and with all the desperation and hard times that we are in, they will be trying to tell you, if you want this, if you really need this job, this is what you must do. Say no to that. And I can tell you for a fact, the job that the Lord has placed for you will eventually find you. Because behold, that job actually found me. And that is why I am here today. So the same thing for the men. There will be older women giving you all manner of requests. Please say no. You don't need to have the money, but because of your ethics and your character, a right-thinking man or woman in the society looking for to fill a position will identify you because you are good at what they are looking for. So that is one part. Now, on the part where it's about being facing challenges because of what you stand for, I can tell you for a fact that has been my journey as a young person. Because of course, one of the things that I stand for is ethical standards. Okay, so one of the things that has been a great challenge, and this one is about the young people that you will face, is that as a young person and you're given an opportunity, and I've been telling all the Queer students that I've interacted with, that is not your opportunity alone. That is an opportunity to open doors for other young people. So the question is, what are the standards that you'll demonstrate out there that will make another person entrust a job on another young person? I don't know whether you're getting the point. Hello? I'm a teacher, so I have to ask the question, okay? I am saying, when you go out there, be a good steward of other young people so that even the rest of the society can begin to entrust leadership on young people. And what is the basis of that? Being an ethical person, an ethical performer. Whenever you're given duties, effectively and efficiently deliver to the best standards of your ability. Okay? If questions arise, because I have faced that part about why is this your position? Why are you opposed to this, yet so and so said this and this? Okay? So those are dynamics in the workplace. And most of the time in the workplace, there will be so many powerful people trying to make you bend the law, to make you bend your ethics, your principles. But at the end of the day, from an experience, the experience I have so far as a young person, the best thing you can ever do and the most respect you can earn yourself in the workspaces is to be firm with your ethics. Be very firm with your principles. Be very firm to speak up against any vice that is in the system. For some reason, recently, yesterday I was discussing something with one of us. I'm going to be fast. And one of the challenges I'm currently facing, Mr. Director, is that I have been fronted to become the chair. But a narrative is she's too young to be a chairperson. But you know, the challenge is not that she's too young. When I sought to find out the truthfulness of that position, I came to find out that apparently some people, some quarters, definitely not my boss, that is the governor, feel that I may not work for the system. Working for the system means I may not conform to their corrupt ways, to bend the system to allow unqualified persons to serve in the county government. Okay? And that is the thing that now you are asking about. And that is something that needs to be uprooted from the system, to the extent that we no longer have a system that gives positions to people on basis of the fact that they will work with the system, but on basis that they will fairly and effectively deliver their mandate as entrusted by the people of Kenya. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Ms. Esther. An incredible story. Can we give a round of applause? This is somebody a living example of someone who has taken the road less traveled. It takes a lot of courage, by the way, to do what she's doing. And that's why we've allowed you all the airtime, because we realize we are looking for such examples, isn't it? To show us that it can actually be done. Now we've run out of time slightly because we were behind the timelines as far as our program is concerned. So I'm going to ask another last question. Maybe we'll start with Professor Majawa. And we are talking about what is the place of education and basically including and incorporating studies around ethics, integrity, and virtue. Are we doing enough as far as education is concerned? It's working?
Thank you very much again for that very practical and deep, question. Are we doing enough with the way how we present our education? I think, of course, a lot is being done, but I believe more could be done. And I go back to those, the three principles I shared with you. Education is to be informative, to know all the knowledge. But again, too, it must sink to our hearts and form our hearts, form our personality. Because if our hearts are not formed, then the conviction will not be there. Principles will not be there. And if our hearts are not formed, then it will be difficult again to go to the ground. That is why I think at all levels of education, let's say at the university level, people have got to be trained. We need again to be informed so that we can discern. Spiritual soul, a human being is more than what we see outside. And that has to be connected with the supernatural values, and they come from God himself. Those values are anchored, in what Christ is telling us in John 14:6. I am the word, I am the truth, and I am life. There is another scholar who says ethics is about truth. Truth to yourself, truth to the organization or the society, and the truth again to nature. Today, you find sometimes our courses putting a separation between values, between spirituality and the institution. So there is a gap. As you were asking me, can more be done? To me, it's now bringing the two entities again together. And that's why teaching is about mentorship. It's about accompaniment, but also it's about sacrifice. I was happy with what my sister was saying. Sometimes you'll be faced with the difficult situations. You have got to make righteous decisions. Somebody would say, maybe Father Clement, we give you I don't know how many millions. If you do something which contradicts natural law, which contradicts my conscience, and I have got a lot of experiences, people saying no to something which is going to come in a corrupt way. So we needed to stand by our principles. And again, I go to those 5, that we needed to inculcate these 5 values in our curriculum, in our way of life. The spiritual soul, the reason is going to be formed in a righteous way. We need again to be formed in our conscience. We need to be formed in common sense, what we are talking about, natural law. Because again, we are bombarded by all sorts of information on the radio, on the TV. It's up to the individual to say, I stand by my principles. And when it comes to natural law, there is no debating. Of course, you can debate to get more insight, but to change your principles, that's why even young people, and I think all of us, need to say what is the natural law and they're going to stand by it. Common sense. Common sense. You don't know how many other things which are happening around. They will entail us if, let's say, we say you are really educated to stand by natural law, to stand by common sense, and again, common good. I remember another scholar saying that, okay, today, at all levels of education, we talk about learning, but again, people say, you need to be educated, have character, have spirituality of education. And that is why I'm saying, we need to do more regarding this. Because my friends, again, how is it possible? We teach about this. A lot of books have been written about this. But when it comes to the office now, when it comes to actual life, what happens? I would like again to quote for you what the 2 great leaders have just said as I conclude. Yes. The first one, if it's possible, the Prime Cabinet Secretary of Kenyan government, Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, gave a powerful and a soul-searching statement at the Kabarak University in Nakuru on 4th July this year. He said, and I quote, I urge the church to be key drivers of peace in the country and to support government's initiative of uniting Kenyans. Furthermore, all people need to embrace peace, humility, integrity in places of work. End of quotation. Second quotation is relevant today. Was made by the great servant of God, model of virtuous life, the former Catholic Archbishop of Nairobi, late Cardinal Morris Michael Tunga of Happy Memories, who said, when at one of the ceremonies, graduation ceremonies, he was a pro-chancellor of this university in 1991, and I quote, educating, training, discerning the future leaders of the next generation of our country, Kenya, and African continent, into true meaning, ethics, integrity, transparency, accountability, human worth, and the fear of the Lord will bring our people to true personal transformation, righteous development, and deeper evangelization, devoid of the vices, corruption, negative ethnicity, laziness, immorality, social and institutional exploitation, and separating God and values from our daily life. Let's pray for righteous values at all levels of the church, of religion, state, and society. End of quotation. And may I conclude by saying, for example, I know we've got honorable, respectable lawyers and even judges. And again, I remember when we are sharing this issue, in class, somebody, has committed a crime. And then he comes to me as a lawyer. And then again, he says, okay, there is this, can you defend me? And he's going to share with you everything about that case. And you come to a situation whereby this one committed that. Should I defend that one and he be acquitted or not? That is, I know, a very sensitive question. But when we are talking about ethics, as we call learned friends or maybe educated friends, these are the areas which need you also to stand on your ground. Otherwise, in my view, as I saw it maybe in some fora, it may become a mere talk. But conviction, principles of life, needs sacrifice. And all of us, from the lowest level to the highest level, we need sacrifice and to stand for the truth. That is ethics, that is morality. Standing for the truth. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I can see the passion. Can we give him a round of applause? And now we've really run out of time. I realize we haven't given Sister Veronica a chance to give her. So 60 seconds, Max, kindly, so that we give the rest of the schedule a chance here.
Okay, thank you. As we have all heard, ethics is everything. Africans are known to be ethical people. Our life rotates about character. So our ethics is about character. Tabia mbaya, mtu mbaya, mtu mzuri. And when we stand by our own ethics, which calls for each one of us having your own personal ethics, integrity, maybe respect, all that you have. And I teach Christian ethics here at Quail. And I asked my students, did your parents teach you any ethics? And if they did, put down what they taught you. They told me respect, hard working, many things. And then I was, and what is happening? What is the problem then? They told me they set their bad role models. That they see people, the parents, you argue, you separate, you divorce, you fight in front of children. Then when it comes even to our parliaments or other places, we see them fighting. Then it comes, Corona came, we see doctors and other people going for strike and people are dying. They say, this is what they said for us. It means you just say and don't do it. So you can write books about what ethics are, but can you show by way of life what they are? So it calls for that we make personal ethics. Also fundamental moral principles. Do good, avoid evil. Obey your conscience. Do to others what you like being done to you. Love God, love of neighbor. Then we have to remember there was a movie. Sisters also watch movies. The rich also cry. The rich also cry. And I have come to learn that even if somebody drives a very big car, enter that car and you will see what is happening. The rich also cry. So don't just go for riches. Go for what it works. People who don't have fenced houses actually sleep. They sleep. I'm not advocating for that. But what I'm saying is, it's not that glitters rose, no bed of roses, no. It is what you are. Have a place for God. Spirituality plays a great role. And our CS told us here, his closing remark, what was it? It was about having God in your life, having spirituality. God answers prayer. God will make a way where there is no way. If you don't have a job, pray. And I have found, I have also looked for jobs, it closed. And I'm like, because I have known that, I'm like, okay, if this one closes, God will open another one. And I was surprised, some of the opportunities I've gotten. You have seen I work in Pontifical Academy for Life, which means I go meetings with the Pope. And that one came about when the other one closed, and I was like, oh my God, what happens? And another one, I'm like, God, thank God you closed that one. This one is better. I also went for an interview where I was supposed to be working in the computer, but I am a person, so that one closed, and God opened another one where I meet people. So go for your passion, pray about it, give a place to God, look for a pastor, look for someone, ask for prayers. All of us need prayers.
Amen.
So go and pray, God will help you.
Amen. A round of applause for Sister Veronica there. So thank you very much, everyone, for listening to us. Obviously, like I said at the beginning, this conversation cannot end here, as you can see. We can talk for hours and hours about this. So I guess we will continue this conversation online. We are talking to young people. You've seen the names of the people here. You can follow them on their social media handles, except that we've run out of time. We'd have gotten those handles right now. But can we give a round of applause for all of them? Thank you very much for your wisdom and for your practice. As for me, you can follow me online. I run a program, a mentorship program called Marketplace Manor. So for all the young people who are entering the marketplace and you want a fighting chance as an integral person, join us there and we'll be able to guide you. Thank you very much. Back to the MC.
Thank you very much, MC. Thank you very much to our esteemed panel. That was riveting. To CPA John Lolkoloi, thank you. We've learned, we know what to do, we know what not to do. We hope that none of us show up at your office at any point in time. To Reverend Professor Majawa, thank you very much, sir. Your inspiration, the power talk, we feel it. We really appreciate it. To Sister, I went to a convent school, so every time I see a sister, I panic. From the time I was 4 to the time I was 18, I was in a convent school. To Sister Dr. Veronica Rowe, thank you very much, sister. Thank you for compassion and showing us that even sisters watch movies, amongst other things. And of course, to Esther Mushiri, we've heard you're a product of the university, you're shining, we're seeing you, we appreciate you, and we hope to have you again. And of course, to our moderator, Mr. Samuel Otieno, you're in the corporate space, but you're also in the spiritual space. So thank you very much to our panel. You may now take your leave. Sante Sana. I'm going to invite, just for a break, the Isukutu dancers who are going to have a quick interlude, and then we get into the very last. We only have one more session. We've combined the 3 into 1. The session will be inclusive opportunities for the youth. The session president will be Samson Kithika, who is from UNICAF, and I hope you know what UNICAF is. If you don't, that would be an amazing session to listen to in a few minutes. So for now, the Isukutu dancers from this prestigious university, over to Paul in the sound room.
stage are the Luhya community from Western Kenya, ready to present to you a Luhya cultural dance entitled Enjoy.
Hey, Magneto!
Thank you very much. Very, very good. Thank you very much. We appreciate them. They've been brilliant with us over the last 2 days. The Isikuta dancers from this beautiful university, led by Session President Samson Kithika. Samson Kithika is the Business Development Manager at UNICAF, and I know you know what UNICAF is. It helps students to earn quality higher education degrees through the UNICAF Scholarship Program. That's one of the things it does. It's a huge online university space, and it partners with other universities from the UK, the US, and Africa. So ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a warm pleasure to present to you Samson Kithika. As he's coming up, he will be joined after his session, after his speech, by Grace Matu. She is going to speak to you about personal branding. That is a key thing for anybody on planet Earth. She's a talent management advisor. She'll also be joined by Alvin Wanyoike from Strathmore University, the Department of Small Business Development, and also Alex Magu from STEM Impact, and he is a top 40 under 40. He's received that award. Festus Mutua from Jay's CV. He'll be helping you with what you need to do to make an effective CV. And the moderator for this session will be Frederick Anyenda. But for now, the session president, Samson Kithika. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, Program Director Achi, for that good introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, I will not take much of your time. I know that, or rather I'm meant to understand that we need to go and change. And that is good. I'm looking forward to see your outfits, your gowns, and everything else. So let me start by giving the right protocols. Ladies and gentlemen, faculty members of the Catholic University of Eastern Africa, esteemed executive members of the Corporate Career Academy, and fellow students. Hamjambo. Hamjambo tena. Thank you. I want to take this opportunity first and foremost to thank the Corporate Career Academy for giving us this opportunity today to be part of this conversation, a very much needed conversation on employability skills, and we are grateful for that opportunity. So to Mr. Pande, Mr. Livingstone, Makori, and his team, thank you so much. Also to take this opportunity to thank the choir management and faculty for our good job for hosting us. I have had a very memorable experience. One of my highlights was yesterday at the canteen. I met a young man who really served me very well, very cordial, very professional. And actually I want to mention his name. His name is Daniel Okoth Ouko. And I think if members of the faculty are here, you should give him a reward and a token for that. So thank you so much, Catholic University of Eastern Africa, for hosting us. So briefly allow me to take this opportunity to introduce UNICAF. I know most of you have seen or heard about UNICAF. From my interactions with you, I have had comments that you see us online all the time, or you see us on your inbox or your WhatsApp groups, on your social media platforms. So UNICAF as an organization is an institution that is committed to change and committed to making quality higher education accessible to all. Our commitment is reflected in our efforts to empower the youth with the necessary skills to thrive in the now competitive job market. As we've been discussing today, in today's dynamic world, employability skills are paramount, and UNICAF is at the forefront of addressing this crucial need. How do we do that? For instance, our professional development courses focus on enhancing critical thinking, communication, and problem-solving skills. We integrate real-world scenarios and industry-relevant projects into our curriculum. As we strive and continue to bridge the gap between education and employability, UNICAF continues to invest in innovative approaches and resources that prepare students for the demands of the professional world. How do we do this? We do this through mentorship programs. For example, just recently we had a webinar, joint webinar with CCA, and we were discussing on 21st century skills that are needed in our current job market. And we had as our speaker a well-able certified career analyst, Jen Gikonyo, who was part of this summit. And so we also do that by providing internships for young people who want to be able to come and understand how the job market works. And of course, we are partnering with industry leaders and organizations. And one example is that we partner with CCA and many other organizations as we move on. At the core of UNICAF's value proposition are a couple of things. One, we're talking about affordability. When we talk about affordability at UNICAF, because of the scholarship element, you get to pay at the fraction of the actual cost of the program that you are intending to do. Another element is our flexibility. Not only do we have flexibility of payment, but you also have flexibility of study. So that is an important value that we feel that we're offering in the market. Accessibility, meaning that you can study from anywhere, from any gadget, from any place at your own time. And then credibility, which we normally say our commitment to credibility is underscored by the fact that we are licensed and recognized by the Commission of University Education that is in Kenya. And furthermore, we hold full accreditation from the British Accreditation Council, which is one of the oldest private independent bodies accrediting universities and private universities across the globe. Our programs are very flexible and designed to ensure that learners can balance their education with other commitments. That's very crucial for us. As it has always been said, work-life balance. For us, what you are saying is it's now education, work, and life balance. So the highlight today of our participation is to announce a collaboration with the Corporate Career Academy. Through this collaboration, UNICAF is pleased to offer an 80% scholarship discount. I think that's a good place to clap. Thank you, thank you. Through this collaboration, students, alumni, and professionals can access quality education at the fraction of the actual cost. This partnership is a testament to our shared vision of empowering the youth with skills and knowledge they need to succeed in an ever-evolving job market. In conclusion, I would like to express my gratitude to each one of you for being part of this important conversation. Special thanks to CCA and COEA for hosting us. And so together, let us continue to bridge the gap between education and employability, empowering the youth to excel in their careers and contribute meaningfully to the development of our nations. So thank you so much. As I conclude, I would ask the technical team to cue a very short video that I want to share with you as we move forward. Asanteni sana.
UNICAF is offering $1 million worth of scholarships for you to study online at one of the leading providers of online quality higher education in Africa. Earn an internationally recognized bachelor's, master's, or doctoral degree from one of UNICAF's partner universities. The University of East London, voted one of the best modern universities in the UK. Liverpool John Rawls University, the fourth best university in the UK. The University of Suffolk, proudly boasting a 90% graduate employability rate. And UNICAF University, pioneer of online quality higher education in Africa. Apply now and more than 60,000 students from 190 countries around the world, looking to improve their lives and careers.
Thank you. I'd like to invite the panelists to this session.
UNICAF is offering $1 million.
I'd like to invite the 5 panelists to this session, the 4 panelists to this session, and the moderator. Grace Matu. Is Grace with us? Karibu Grace. Grace is an HR advisor, a talent management expert, and she will be speaking around the space of branding, personal branding. Alvin Wanyoike from Strathmore University, from the department that deals with small business development. Alvin, Karibu. Alex Magu from STEM Impact Center, one of the top 40 under 40s in 2022. Karibu, Alex. and Festus Mutua from Jay's CV, and Festus will be guiding you all, and me included, on how to write premier CVs. The session moderator is Frederick Mayenda, and he is founder and CEO of BAYE, B-A-Y-E, Karibu.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It's an honor to have this engagement here with you as we organize for a seat for the other panelists. Allow me to make a correction on my name. My name is Frederick Anyenda, not Manyenda, as the program director has shared. So glad to host our dear panelists here who are going to give us an in-depth discussion on the inclusive opportunity for the youth based on their own experiences and the elements that we need to understand about the opportunities that exists out there. So let's get it right on. I will give the first opportunity to our dear Alvin Wanyoike to give us a conversation around the on-campus innovation hubs and what it is that it means to you as students and the guys that are still within campus and exploring the space of innovation. So over to you, Alvin. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. Good evening. Good evening. So thank you very much for this day. It has been an amazing day full of information, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity that has been given to me and also Strathmore University as a whole to be able to sit here and just give an example of what we do back at Strathmore. So my name is Alvin Wanyoike. I'm the project coordinator for the Small Business Development Centers. So the Small Business Development Centers is a program which is donor funded by the USAID at Strathmore, but being implemented by us. So how the model operates, it's a model which has been there for the past 40 years, working in the United States, and has already proven to work. So right now, we are the first country in the whole of Africa to be the ones who have been given this privilege to pioneer it. How we look at it currently is this model should be implemented at a university level, and that's why I'm going to be speaking on campus innovation hubs. So in context of how the model has also been transferred to us, this model has come from the University of Texas, San Antonio, and they're the ones who taught us how to best come and implement this model. So this model, to put it in a narrow perspective, focuses on advisory sessions. We also do trainings, we do consultancy, but we do offer advisory whereby we handhold an MSME from their point of interacting with them, where we realize this business, this is their main pain point. It could be markets, it could be finance, it could be at a policy level, or it could be that you need trainings. So if you require trainings, these we mostly focus on startups whom we believe once we start off the journey, that's the best point we can start with you. However, we believe there is as far as training can go. Advisory is what has proven to be more economically impactful for MSMEs, whereby we take you to that point where you actually needed help. So we are in 6 counties. This is Mombasa, Kisumu, Nakuru, Makueni, Isiolo, and Kiambu. At Strathmore, we operated from an apex level, and as us being a university, we leverage on the resources that we have there. So I'd like to state that we have a gender perspective, and this gender perspective focuses on the youth, 51% female-owned businesses, and PWDs. So I really hope that my sitting down here might be impactful, not maybe to all of you, but at least some of you can be able to go and start up the fire of inspiration out there. So thank you very much, and back to you.
Thank you very much, Alvin. Having been a beneficiary of the Small Business Development Center as a consultant, I know what it is that the SBC offers, and I can surely tell you that it is a good space to be, and SBC module provides the best that you can ever have, and therefore he will tell us a little bit more on how do the innovators within campus have a chance to benefit from this. I think that is something that you'd want to share with us. And thank you very much for sharing those insights with us. Closely related to that, we have also the off-campus innovation. That is, we are going to have a sharing from Alex Magu, who is a manager running the STEM Innovation Center, if I got it right. Please go ahead, take it up.
Thank you, Frederick. My name is Alex Magu, CEO STEM Impact Center Kenya. And the STEM Impact Center Kenya is a youth development organization, and we work in education and innovation. And these areas of particular interest to us, and I'll be sharing case studies of 6 startups that we've worked with in the past 3 years. I also want to share that last year we were recognized by the Kenya Innovation Agency as the Startup Incubator of the year 2022. And our innovation programs, basically we've incubated 6 successful startups up to date, and spread across from Nairobi, Kisumu, Turkana, and many other organizations. And their journey has been quite remarkable. And the first startup that I want to share, and I'll do it in phases, the 6 startups were each given 1.5 million shillings each. And this was to enable them to develop the idea from a business competition they had registered to a real product. And we worked with them throughout the entire journey. And I want to share 2 startups in the first phase. One called Vis-a-Vis or Signverse, and I think they are currently exhibiting here. And the startup got a funding of 1.5 million, and up to date they've been able to raise an additional 3.4 million Kenya shillings in a period of 1 year, and they are now developing their MVP to a full product. On the same case, we have a startup called Aquaban, based in Kisumu. They make hatcheries and they incubate fingerlings. And this startup has been able, through the incubation process, they are now exporting fish fingerlings from Kisumu all the way to Ethiopia, all the way to Malawi, Tanzania, all the way to Lamu, all the way to Moyale. So these guys started with 1.5 million shillings, and recently they were able to secure an additional funding from MasterCard of 10 million Kenya shillings. And these are guys who just started the last 2 years from COVID time. They didn't have anything, they just had an idea on a piece of paper. And the second phase of the incubation process, we had another group of startups. And these startups got each 60,000 Kenya shillings. Fall in terms of funding from the 1.5 million to 60,000. And I want to share Sunnywise Technologies. If you look them up, they've made an innovative toilet. And we know in our country sanitation is a big issue, especially here in Nairobi. So Sunnywise have come up with an innovative toilet. They in talks with the likes of Bill Gates. In fact, when Bill Gates came to Kenya, he was among the first people he met with, a group of young people in Kisumu. They got funding of 60,000 at the initial phase. They were able to get an additional 1 million from UNICEF. And currently, they have just secured a 10 million shilling funding from USA to come up with the innovative toilet. And mind you, they also in talks with the likes of Bill Gates. So I don't know the interest there, but if we can have an innovative toilet for all of us, why not? And someone is funding these ideas. So these are just bad examples of startups that have started, and when we worked with them through the journey, they were just ideas on a piece of paper. They submitted an idea on a business competition. They were selected based on the ideas and the scalability and the kind of solution they are coming up with. So we work with them in a journey of deliverables and milestones that each one of them has to be able. So, and you realize I've not given examples of each and every organization. Some have come, some have gone. But you as a young person, I would want to encourage you. What are some of those ideas you think that are viable? We most often overlook. Who knew that we can innovate around a toilet? Yeah? Until these guys came up and they have an innovation solution and they're getting funding to it. Who knew we can export fingerlings? Small fish. That if you're in Kiambu and want to put fish, call Akoba. Hey, I need like 50. They process them and they send them. So these are some of the opportunities that we're here sharing as STEM Impact Center Kenya. And of course, we come with development partners who assist us to incubate these young startups. So with this, I think I want to hand back to our moderator.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Alex. I think there could be a quick question that comes to mind, especially for the students, is how can we be part of this process? Because from my understanding, I believe that what you are doing at STEM is much more than just an incubation, because the level of funding, the innovations are attracting is massive. And therefore, I know there are a few questions that would come into it, that even for the on-campus innovation, how can the two tap into one another and co-create together in terms of scaling the innovations that from within campus moving out? I think that is a conversation that we would want to hear and maybe get comments on. Bird aquaculture, located in Nyalenda, somewhere there, in the slum settlement of Nyalenda, you'd be interested to know how they made the connection and how they became part of the STEM program. Thank you very much for that contribution, Alex. Now, we want to switch gears a little bit and move to Grace. Welcome. Tell us something a little bit more about personal branding. Maybe it's out of the branding and getting out there that has given these guys an opportunity to pitch and attract such kind of investment on the innovation. Please go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Grace Matthew. I'm a HR advisor in charge of talent management, but besides that, I'm an image and etiquette coach because I am passionate about helping people be known for something, because we are living in a very competitive world. Right now you're in campus and 1,000 of other students like yourself are in another campus. How many campuses are in this country? You will all be graduating to compete for the same opportunities. So ask your neighbor, what are you known for? What makes you unique? What will make your name pop out in a boardroom full of opportunities? What will make your name be mentioned in a boardroom full of opportunities? All these people, my panelists here, are talking about opportunities. Those opportunities are not as many as we are, which means the opportunities are less than the people. So for you to stand out and be selected for this opportunity, there has to be something that makes you unique, something that makes you stand out. And so today I want to prepare you and tell you that the world outside there is very competitive. If you have to make it, you will need to stand out, you need to be different, you have to be able to articulate what is your value proposition, what is it that you're bringing to the table, because outside there people are looking at your performance, yes, but they're also looking at your image and they also want to hear your exposure. How exposed are you? So most of you will be graduating with, is it a master's in or a degree in law? You'll be outside there competing for the same opportunities. What will make someone want to hire you as Mark compared to another list that has Paul, Alice, Jane, and say, I want to work with Mark. Let me give it a try with Mark. So I'm all about helping people package themselves for the job market, because outside there it's more than just papers. You need to be book smart, that is why you're in the university you're in, but you also need to be street smart, and you also need to be people smart. So that is how I work with individuals to help them be well packaged for the opportunities that are outside there. So I want to believe, and I know someone from JCVs will be talking about your CV, which is a very important tool of packaging yourself. But besides that, how is your wardrobe? How do you dress? Do you have a personal brand statement today? If you're told to stand and say something about yourself, who are you? What will you say? In the morning when Honorable Ababu Namwamba was here, people walked out with opportunities because of the way they packaged themselves, because of the way they spoke. Those people's lives may never be the same again just because of one opportunity they had today and they were well prepared for it. So do you have a personal brand statement? How many of you are on LinkedIn? How many of you have a CV? How many of you have an elevator speech or an elevator pitch today? That if you meet someone who has an opportunity for you, you're able to sell yourself very fast. Like to these people here that are saying they have money, they just need you to come with opportunities for you to be funded. If they give you 2 minutes to talk about yourself and sell your idea, what will you say? Do you have an elevator pitch? That is what I help individuals do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Grace, for that insight. Speaking about value proposition and pitching, maybe we would give, I know later towards the end of it, we'll have an opportunity to listen to a few, maybe 2 pitches from some innovators supported under KCB Foundation. And that calls to book to our dear students here that what is our level of preparedness in terms of visibility? Yes, we can have this one switched off. Thank you. What is our level of preparedness in terms of pitching? When you are invited for an interview and you're asked, what are you bringing to the table? What is it that you're bringing to the organization that we should consider giving you the job? The big question normally comes, will the question come and find you blank, or question will find you well prepared with your value proposition? You have understood the organization and the company very well, that you are willing to meet the gaps that you've already identified, you've done your background check, and clearly understood the pain points the company is facing. Are you going in as a problem solver, or you're just going to learn on the job? So thank you very much, Grace, for those insights. I believe we'll have a moment to just reflect on what is it that we need to do in terms of our level of preparedness as the young people, either who are looking for employment opportunities or who have a solution in terms of an innovation and want to explore the entrepreneurship journey. Thank you very much. You mentioned about CV and packaging of CV. And we are here to listen to our dear brother Festus, just to give us a snapshot of what it takes to have a CV that will make the potential employer want to listen to you and call you for an interview. So how do you package yourself? So Festus, sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. My name is Festus Mutua. I'm here to represent my CEO, that is Jairus Walemba. I work for JCVs. At JCVs, I'm the lead HR and a CV expert. So I'd like first to ask you, do you have a CV? Yes, I can hear some yes and some no. How is your CV? Reason being, I would like to say this. Some of us don't get to the shortlist folder, not because we don't have the skills or the qualifications required, but because we have not well packaged the CV in such a way the recruiter can easily spot your qualifications and skills. The other reason as to why you should have a good CV is because we are in the technology era, and most of the companies have adopted something we call the ATS, Applicant Tracking System. What is that? It's a system which helps in recruitment. So how does this system help in recruitment? Once we as the HRs have posted a job opportunity, we feed the system with the job description and as well match the email of applications to the system in such a way that after you have applied for that job opportunity, your CV has to go through the system so that it can be scanned alongside the job description, and it has to score at least 80% for you to get to the select level, so that now your CV can reach a human level of shortlisting. So those are some of the two, not the only reasons as to why you should have a good CV, but some of the reasons as to why you should have a good CV. So I will be unfair if I leave it at that point and not give you a brief guideline of how you should package your CV. So a good CV should have the following. I'll give you just a guideline. Your name, contact details. When I talk about contact details, it's your telephone number and your email address. After that, you should have a section for professional summary. That is a brief summary of who is Festus professionally. After that, you can have another section for major highlights. It depends whether you have made career milestones. Do you have any achievements you have achieved? Do you have any projects you have spearheaded or led? You should have them highlighted under major highlights. After that, you should have a column for your academic qualifications. Highlight them from the latest one up to your high school level. The reason I'm saying up to your high school level is because I don't know if you have realized in most of the interviews you have attended, they only request you to provide your Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education certificate and any other certificates you have earned after that. So that means in the recruitment space, things have changed. We are coming to a level whereby now holding only the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education will not be a guarantee for a formal job in Kenya. In the past few years, we used to talk about KCPE. Right now, it's KCSE, the minimum requirement. So that's a personal challenge to you. So you should highlight your academics, then mention the course you have undertaken, the institution at which you took that course, and your year of completion. After that, you should have another section for your not major highlights, areas of expertise. Sorry about that. Those are your key competencies. I always advise you measure on the technical skills. Technical skills. The skills which you have acquired over time in the course of performing your duties. Then after that, I'll now advise you have another section for work experience. Under the work experience, you need to have some order. That is, the work experience should be highlighted from your present work experience, your current work experience, flowing downwards to the very immediate first workplace you worked at after school. Under the work experience, we always advise you have at least the first 3 roles well outlined, enriched with content, and then you just mention the other roles. Reason being, your CV should be short and precise. After your work experience, I recommend you have another section for notable trainings. You have attended trainings or workshops or else summits like this one. You should have it on your CV. That shows how committed you are in your profession, in your career. So you should have a column for your notable trainings. After the notable trainings, I'm now finalizing. You have another column for your references. For the references, you provide the name, position, the company your referee works for, telephone number, and email. That is if they have given you their consent. Due to the data privacy issues, some of them do not want you to include their information on the CV. So if that's the case, you have the referees available upon request. So that's a structure, a simple structure of a well-packaged CV. So it's good to have a good CV and a well-packaged one. Then I would like to challenge you, after having that good CV, what are you doing with it? You can have a good CV and just keep it. Use that good CV to apply for jobs in line with your career. I'd like to give some bonuses. Some sources. Observe the naming of your CV. How do you name your CV? You find candidates have applied for jobs and they have just named their CV document. Doc X, something of that sort. So 5 of you have named your CV's document 1. The moment I'm shortlisting, probably all of you have the skills I need, the work experience I need, and I have shortlisted you to a folder. You are now giving me another work to start renaming your CV, so that I can be able now to start comparing who is Festus, who is Alex, who is Frederick, who is Grace, who is Esther. So I always advise, name your CV with your name. For example, Festus Mutua CV. The other thing, have page numbers and footnotes on your CV. Reason being, after we have downloaded the CVs, we might decide to keep hard copies. And maybe we'll be using those hard copies in future for some references. Maybe we consider you for a future opening. But now, once your CV does not have a foot name and a page number, maybe the papers might black out. And at some point, I might be missing 1 page of your CV. So it will be very difficult for the recruiter to locate the missing page. And you might end up missing an opportunity just because of that. So thank you very much. I think I've touched on key areas on CVs.
Wow. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Festus. I believe that is a very packed information. It is good to note that we are using now AI to do the initial screening and shortlisting. I don't know how many of us here already have CVs that would merit the 80% requirement. And maybe in the next phase or next round of conversation, we would want to know whether it is important to restructure your CV to fit a particular application. The one that you had, you can always use it in every opportunity that you get. Maybe it's something that you'd want to share. And if I have, for example, a 15-page CV that requires to be compressed to 5 pages, what are some of the key areas that has to be focused on? Maybe that's a conversation that we would want to have in the next round. But I want to give our president a moment just to share with us more insights about studying abroad and the opportunities that we have at UNICAF. Welcome.
Thank you so much, moderator. I would want to say this, and this is what we do at UNICAF. Number one, we all know that education in Kenya and in Africa and around the world is very expensive, and that makes it very prohibitive in terms of accessing the education. So what we're doing at UNICAF is creating access to that education opportunity that you could not have simply because of the prohibitive costs. And we do that by creating an online platform where that learning takes place. So our studying abroad per se is not that we are taking you to a foreign country, so to speak, but we are bringing that opportunity to you where you sit in your country, for example, now in Kenya or in the East African region. And so you can be able to study, for example, with our partner universities in the UK. And what we're doing at UNICAF is this. Once you're studying with us, for example, you're studying with the University of East London in the UK, while you're studying here, you're of the same status, merit, value as someone who has gone to that actual institution, the in-person student. And that happens in the sense that once you're through with your academic journey on the online platform, UNICAF will offer you an opportunity to go to the actual university, the brick and mortar institution, for the actual graduation. And so the UNICAF platform enables you to have that opportunity that you would not necessarily have had. We're not saying that all of us are in that position. There are some of us who can be able to go to UK, USA and study, no problem. But probably for a large number, they cannot be able to do that. Another element is the scholarship element. UNICAF has partnered with various organizations across the globe. Many times you're asked this question, so why are you giving people money? Where are you getting that money in the first place? Just very shortly, we have partnered with various organizations. One, we have partnered with CDC, okay, actually it's not CDC anymore, it's British Investment International. It used to be called CDC Group earlier. And so who are part of the people who are informing the scholarship resource. We have partnered with University Ventures, we have partnered with edX. We also used to partner with Goldman Sachs. However, that is no longer the case. However, they are still part and parcel of our ecosystem. And so those, I would call them financial partners, inform the resource that enables us to be able to fund students in Africa, both at professional level and even at student level like we are right now. So I would want to present to you, check out what we are doing at UNICAF, and also check out what we are doing in terms of providing soft skills to young people, even at this stage. Like we have been discussing throughout the 2 days, at the university level, we are getting what I think it's Archie who was saying, the hardware. But out here, as you engage and involve yourself in such forums, you're getting the software. You're getting to learn the importance of soft skills. You're getting to learn the importance of the right attitude. You're getting to learn the importance of communication skills. You're getting to learn the importance of emotional intelligence. You know, how do you relate with people? So these are some of the things that we're also doing. And so I would encourage you to look into our platforms, both on our social media handles and even our website, and you can be able to get more on them. Same.
Thank you very much, Samson. Indeed, it is important to consider being an all-rounder in terms of both soft skills and hard skills. You did mention about the 21st century skills required for us to be able to thrive. And the 80% scholarship offered to students, I think maybe you'll make a comment as we close. Alvin, Eric mentioned, Alex mentioned to us about the innovation under the incubation program. And within the campuses, I know we are trying to create ideas, ideate, develop prototypes and all that. Is there a way we can build a linkage between the on-campus and off-campus collaboration between the two, so that we see what we can harness from there?
Okay, so, can you hear me? Hello, thank you. So are there opportunities of how an on-campus innovation hub and how an off-campus innovation hub can work together? Yes, the opportunity is there. So one of the first opportunities is that from an on-campus perspective, we leverage on the fact that we are a resource of information. There's a lot of research which you have done even as a student, whereby a lecturer has asked you to do a certain research, maybe for your own project, but where do we actualize them? And it's in these incubation hubs that you're actually able to actualize them. So out of that, at times we leverage also on the off-campus because of the opportunities that they have. I'll use the SBDC as an example. SBDC, we don't offer you the money. However, we work with partners such as the off-campus innovation hubs, whereby they have these partners all who are willing to offer them these opportunities. Not only them, but also other partners that we might be having from our side. We can actually tell them, since us being a donor-funded project, we can't offer this cash. Can we work with you to be the one to take this grant so that then you can be the one who is able to actually give it out? So that's one way we also work together. So other than the research, we also collaborate on, let's say, if it's consultants that we need. I might be lacking on a consultant, they might be having a consultant, or it could be the other way around. So that's also another way that we look at how can we leverage on our resources again. Maybe another way I can say we leverage on each other is maybe on the opportunities. For example, last year we had 30 MSMEs which we were taking to Uganda for the EAC conference. Out of that, we supported a certain level. We are able to support them up to a certain level, and working with them, they would also give us some of their MSMEs whereby we can be able to offer them the same opportunity. Let me just go back home and state that SBDC is, our value proposition is more of advisory. So in the case that, let's say they are doing more of the trainings or an off-campus is doing more of consulting, we can offer them the advisory. Do we offer the advisory at a cost? No. This has already been paid for by the taxpayer. So these services, we get them at the centers all around within the counties that you are in, and we at least make sure that these advisors, the business advisors, at least 3 of them who are at the centers, are able to work with you through the journey. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alvin. Alex, would you maybe make a comment around the same?
Yes, of course. And it's interesting enough that there are a lot of opportunities and we hardly get to know them. But for us, how we work is that what is out of school? So, and our definition of out of school is someone who is of legal age and is done and has completed secondary school, such that you're able to get into, you're either in university, college, you've dropped out, you're just doing your business. So for us, we work with youth for as long as you have 18 years of age and you've met the legal requirements. So, and it's not a limit for you to be a student. But interestingly enough, from the 6 startups that I mentioned, we have a diverse background. Like the first startup I mentioned, vis-a-vis Signverse. So they are creating an AI-powered sign language app. And I can tell you those young men dropped out of university. Yeah? And they're making an AI-powered app such that if you need sign language services here, you'll only get to the app, speak, translate. If you have someone who needs, doesn't understand sign language, get to the app, put on the camera, sign, and it translates that either to speech or to text. So anyone can be an innovator. We all have an opportunity. So it's how do we get these resources and these opportunities out there and as young people, and how do you package your idea? And most of the times what you've seen is that a good idea will get investment. Yeah? So young people, you don't have to wait for the money to come. Get that idea rolling, give us case studies, trials, this is what I've done, this is where I want to be with this funding. Yeah.
Thank you very much. How do we get to join the incubation program?
So the incubation program, how we do it with the different partners. We do make a call for applications, which are yearly. So in our next call for application, you can apply. So you need to follow us on social media, STEM Impact Center Kenya, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere, STEM Impact Center Kenya, where we share all those opportunities. And then you can also join our mailing list. So on our website, we have an email whereby you can subscribe to our mailing list. Yeah.
Thank you very much for the additional information. Now, Grace, how do we get to stand out? And how do we get your services to be able to get there?
Thank you. Allow me to make this comment because I know there are many students here now who are wondering, how do I get to benefit from that amount of money? I think from a personal branding perspective, this could be your take home. I know you're wondering, how do I create a brand? Where do I even start? I want to invite you into an introspective journey where you ask yourself, what are your gifts? What are your talents? What are your passions? What is it that you do so well? You know you're gifted in that area, that you do it with so much passion and energy. Don't struggle. Don't go and have a sleepless night now trying to craft an idea, looking for it from all over. It's within you. Look within you for your interests, your passions, your talents. That is going to flow so easily that when you present your idea to Impact Center, you stand a better chance because it's something that is within you and it's something that you are gifted in that area. Besides that, I would like every person in this room to be able at every opportunity where there is a gathering like this, that you do not leave without having an opportunity to network with somebody who you feel could connect you to an opportunity in the future. People have been here 2 days from various walks of life. I am sure you have identified somebody who you feel is key to where you're headed in this life, in your career. Make sure you meet with them and pitch yourself, pitch who you are. Tell them who you are, what you do, and what makes you different. What do I mean? I will say I am Grace Matthew. That's who I am. What do I do? I'm a HR advisor, talent management. I'm also an image and etiquette coach. What makes you different? There are so many other people who are in the HR space. What makes Grace different? Grace is also an image and etiquette coach who works with people. She's passionate about helping people build their personal brands. So that goes along to add something extra to who you are. So there are very many people who are students like you, taking the same exact course like you, but what makes you different? What is someone in the morning say they're good at public speaking? So today my question to you is, what makes you different? That is what the world is looking for, so that you stand out and your name can be mentioned in a boardroom full of opportunities where you're not. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Grace. Even as we prepare to take a few questions from the plenary, I want to hear from Festus. Just tell us, how do I compress that CV to fit into context? And what does it take to have a perfect CV?
Thank you very much. It's a good question. Some of us have 7-page CVs. Some might be having 10. So the standard size of a CV should be at most 4 pages. How do you compress it? If you take a keen look at your CV, if your CV is more than 4 pages, you'll find that your work experience has made it very long. That's why I mentioned that you need to focus on the first 3 roles, and under the first 3 roles, capture the key duties and responsibilities. Some of the duties and responsibilities on your JD are just additionals, bonus, I'll say, like supporting administrative tasks, administrative support tasks. So capture the key responsibilities in your field and focus on the first 3 roles. I'm sure your CV will be short, will fit the 4 pages margin. If it's longer than that, please visit us. We'll help you.
Thank you very much. I think I may be one of your clients very soon to try and compress my CV to have that perfect fit. We'll have just closing remarks, briefs from your end, but I would not exit this platform. I would not want to exit this platform without sharing with you a little bit about Buy Africa. Buy Africa, Buy is an acronym for Business Acceleration for Young Entrepreneurs. At Buy Africa, we are providing business development and advisory support, especially for ideas and startups and SMEs within the agri-food value chain. We have centers in Kisumu, Eldoret, and here in Nairobi, and we are working with young startups. Under our incubation programs, we have a number of entries that we do in a year. We normally have a standard of 3 cohorts. And part of what we do in the incubation program, we run with entrepreneurs for a period of not less than 6 months under the incubation program. But for the acceleration program, we run for a period of 6 months because these are high impact SMEs. and the kind of support they get, mentorship and coaching they get, is geared towards scaling their businesses. So it is important to note that, yes, Frederick is the CEO of Buy Africa, and also a board member at ASEC. ASEC is the Association of Startups and SMEs Enablers of Kenya. We are working together in that ecosystem to try and create employment opportunities for the youth and also to be good employers. So as we prepare to take a few questions, I don't know if we have any in the plenary. Any questions? Yes, we have the gentleman at the middle and the other one at the back, then the one behind the camera. So if we can provide the microphone so that we can get the questions. Meanwhile, any additional comments? Samson?
Thank you so much. So, like I said earlier in my short speech, in collaboration with CCA, we are rolling out a scholarship framework where we are offering a guaranteed 80% scholarship for anyone who is under the CCA framework, the stakeholders. And so keep on watching the CCA space. We'll be working very closely with them to roll out how that looks like, how you can plug into that. So keep on looking out for that information as we move forward. And so thank you so much. I think that's all for me.
Thank you. Grace, any comments as we give chance to questions from the plenary?
Yes, for every student that is represented here, I want to tell you that you have what it takes to get outside there and shine. But I also want you to take care of the form, or to take note of the formula that is PIE formula. And you can also go and Google it. P stands for performance, I stands for image, and E is exposure. Because as I mentioned, you need to be book smart, which is the reason why you're at Catholic University. You need to be people smart, and you also need to be street smart. So the PIE formula tells you that your performance, your book smartness will account for 10% of the success outside there. The I, which is your image, how you look, how you present yourself, how you talk, how you leave people feeling after interacting with you, will account for 30% of the success, your career success outside there. And after 10 and 30, you're left with 60. All that is exposure. I saw a lot of people here who volunteered. They are in the cameras, they are welcoming us, they are ushers, they are asking questions at every opportunity, meaning that they are creating exposure for themselves. They are letting people know that they exist, such that when you leave this place, you shall remember there was a gentleman, there was a girl who was talking so well, who was so kind to us. You actually mentioned that someone at the canteen who treated you so well. That person has already scored 60% in terms of exposure. So for success, career success, it's a balance of your performance in whatever you do, your image, and of course, exposure. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well put. I think now we can take the question from the back.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Dr. Andrew Makori from Murang'a University of Technology. And my questions goes to Alvin and Alex, and actually including Frederick. This is about the incubation, the startup. How do we get universities, like my university students, get involved? Do you have any cooperation arrangements or partnership so that when I take it to my seniors, I can be able to share that? Also, I've seen actually that when we have our career day now, it's going to be a bit different because we can invite some of you to come and share with the students in a way they can be able to improve their, to package their experiences. And of course, I'm also thinking in terms of the university, maybe if people were exposed earlier, then whenever they are involved in various activities, they can be able to pick these ones, especially the Chase CVs, how they can. Because sometimes they go to 40 years, and then they are told, now this is how you do your CV. And they have been doing a lot of work that they could actually incorporate in their CVs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. We can take the other two questions and then we provide responses to them. There was a hand at that point. Yes. Then at the back as well.
Okay. Panelists, moderator, and the students, good afternoon. All protocol observed. My name is Stephen Tipo from African Nazarene University. Currently, I'm a fourth-year student pursuing bachelor's in computer science. My question today will go directly to Alex and Mr. Alvin. As a young innovator and mostly entrepreneur in future, I would like to ask, what are the measures that your organization are taking to ensure that young innovators get direct benefit from their innovations when their innovations have reached the threshold or have reached a point whereby it has become a fully funded venture or something stable? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question to Alvin and Alex. We have the two gentlemen at the back.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jason Mecha from Nairobi. It's undertaking branding and UI UX, that is user experience and user interface. So my question goes to Festus and Grace. What can I make that when the people see my CV, they are like, they want to see who I am? And some of us, we are still students and we want to go into job market, and we don't have that experience. And according to the job, what they want an experience. So what can we make that these people may see that we are still students? So about the personal branding from Grace, what can I make myself to be that unique, that when people see me, they can see that these persons are unique? And about that, the project, as Nairobits, we are dealing with this SDG of the climatic change. Some of us, we have come with ideas, so now we can cap the climatic change in the world. And we don't have that fund. How can we have that fund so that we may be able to present our project to the world? Thank you all.
Thank you very much. We can have the last. Yes.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm Tony Odunda. Okay, so my question goes, okay, in your CV, you are applying for a job, not in the area of specialization, but you are applying for a different job, but in the work experience, maybe you are a teacher or you are in another area. But in the work experience, it's all containing about the duties of administrator, that is the principal, or a mere teacher. But now you are applying for a computer science which you are not well conversant with. How can you rewrite your CV so that you switch that job that you want? Because nowadays you don't apply for the exactly that job that we are undergoing. That is.
Thank you very much for that question. I know teachers who have turned to be bank managers, and that is not basically their primary area of training, but they are thriving. So the question to Alex, to Festus and Grace is, how do you re-engineer your CV to be able to meet all that? So I want to start by responding to Dr.'s question, then I'll give Alex and the opportunity also to contribute. I want to mention about what we do at Buy Africa, giving an example of our partnership with Masinde Muliro University, where we are spearheading knowledge management and technology transfer, especially in partnership with the Faculty of Agriculture and Agribusiness, where we have quite a number of innovations that we are cascading down to the primary users In the field of production, we have arrangement and partnership, for example, with the Masinde Muliro University, where we get students that have the skills, but we also provide opportunity for placement in the established, like an apprenticeships kind of an arrangement, for them to also have an opportunity to learn hands-on experience. So it's an element of connecting the learnings from the classroom and the reality in the field, and also trying to build them also become independent investors and entrepreneurs in future. So I think, Alex, maybe you can also give your contribution to this, then Alvin will conclude.
Thank you, Frederick. The question asked by Dr. Makori, how do we get into universities? And actually, we are looking for you, yeah, universities. And unfortunately, sometimes we get into the wrong hands, mismanaged, the information doesn't, or, you know, normal red tapes. But we will wish that we spread this knowledge. It's a key resource that we need to get to young people. And at the same time, we are open to joint collaborations to run or to participate in the either design of incubation programs or in the implementation. So be it Quare, be it Murang'a University or any other place, yes, we will be interested to work with you. Secondly, we can share our own database, because the resource we have, Strathmore have, so these are things that we need to tap in, maybe probably have a community of practice on this. And I think with ASEC, why don't you take up that, you know?
Right.
You're all over, so, and universities are spread out. So if you can have a community of practice on incubation, so that we don't have to keep on reinventing the wheel. So we do the same things together. And a comment on Steve Biko's question. How do we ensure that young people get a direct benefit on the innovations? So what we do at STEM Impact Center, all those innovations and all those startups that I have mentioned, we don't take equity at all. It is up to the young people to take up all the funding, to get their business ideas ready and implement. For us, we'll accelerate your growth. We will work with you, and what we do is that we get the funding, and we talk to different development partners, the MasterCard, the USAID, UNICEF, and they give us the funding. And what we'll do will be an implementing partner together with you. And you get the maximum benefit of all your innovations. 100% of your company, not a share less for us. So that's how we implement our incubation process. Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's also important to note that there is the intellectual property and patenting of innovations that is available, and for us, that is a consideration that we highly take charge of and take note of in terms of protecting the innovators. Yes. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. So, to answer Dr. Makori's question, you said that you're from the Murang'a University. You got it, Roy? Okay, awesome. So it's good, maybe I just mentioned this here. As a USAID program, yes, we are in 6 counties, but we don't look at staying in the 6 counties. The reason we're in 6 counties is because that's as far as we can go based on the prosper counties that USAID has mentioned. However, have we had conversations with other counties? Yes, we have had more than 20 of them, and one of them is Murang'a County Government. We've already had these discussions of us opening up an SBDC center there, and who knows, they might choose your university to be the hub of this SBDC center. So once this happens, we'll also transfer the model. Same way it was transferred to us, is the same way we'll transfer it to you. And then now from there, we can always kick off as a center. To go to Steve Biko's question, how I understood your question, you were asking of how we get you from an ideation perspective to making your idea become an actual business, right? Okay, awesome. So ideally, the incubation center, that's what it does. It helps you nurture your innovation. It brings you up. From our side, we help you expand. That's what we do. And how do we do this? We give you opportunities. If it's the pitching, we give you that opportunity to go and pitch in front of investors that we know. If it's access to markets, we provide you access to markets. If it's going to events, we'll see how can we facilitate that event for you. Same way, as I said, last year we took some people to Uganda. This year we're taking them to Burundi. And we also have our own events which we organize at Strathmore and some which we also invited by our partners. So in the case where we find we can support you for that event because we can see it can benefit you, we'll invite you. There are some events we might look at and we know, okay, this event will not benefit you but can benefit another person. But in the case where we know this is a very sure bet for you, that one will invite you. Another area we look at is, I deal with a lot of consultants from where I sit. And one thing we've come to realize, even as Strathmore University as a whole, we are creating a system where we are calling it BASPs. So BASPs is Business Advisory Service Providers, where we realized outside Africa as a whole, we have so many investors who want to come here, but they don't know the right businesses to invest in. So the person who comes in between the MSME and the investor is the consultant. So part of what we do is that by working with these many consultants and advisors, we're able to tell of opportunities. Even them, just by helping you out, they're able to tell what investor out there is ready to invest in your business, or how can we get you ready for that particular investor. So those are kind of opportunities we look at. Then also with the trainings, of course, one thing I always tend to say is that continuous learning is one of the best way of sustainability, especially for the businesses. And this we have seen whereby even us as the trainers, we always make sure that we empower ourselves because the market keeps changing. So with that continuous trend, we always make sure that we communicate to you as our clients. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. In 30 seconds, Grace, there is the element of matching the call for application, but requires that you have experience. How do beginners work with this?
Okay. Given your circumstances as a student, your exposure and your experience starts from campus. And I'm glad to report there are some of you already who have experience because they are always volunteering for every activity. They are in all the clubs, or rather they've joined their clubs of interest. Some of them have even taken positions of office. Maybe they are the chair, they are the treasurers. And those are some of the basic things we look at the entry-level jobs, because I want to believe most of the people leaving campus will be looking at entry-level jobs. We know you have not worked before. And after you leave campus, please go volunteer. Don't stay at home saying you only want a job that has money. Go as an intern. Even if that intern is not getting something, just do it. Because it will start there, it will not end there, but it will be considered as experience. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Festus, I'm a trained agribusiness specialist, but I want to apply for the job of an engineer. What happens according to the question as I hand it over to?
It's a good question. That's career transition. I have friends in the HR space who are teachers. So it's a whole process. Once you have the desire to get into another field, it doesn't mean it happens overnight. There's a process. So I just give a brief overview of how to go about it. Number one, seek for volunteership in line of what you want to pursue. So you can go to your normal job and volunteer for at least 1 hour in a company in the evening. At the end of the day, you'll capture it as if you have worked for 1 year, but you have been working with them for 1 hour. The 1 hour itself makes a lot of difference because it gives you the hands-on experience with what is happening in that field. Now, with time, you'll be able to capture that experience on your CV because I want to believe 1 hour in a company is very crucial. You learn a lot. So it's a process. It's a career transition process. So if there is anyone who wants to transit, we do that. We help candidates transit. Just reach out to us. JCV is online.
Thank you very much, Festus. I want to appreciate the panelists for
And let's appreciate the plenary team for your contribution and having made the conversation very engaging. As we hand back, yes, go ahead please. Put your hands together for yourselves together and the team. Thank you very much. Back to you.
Thank you so much. To our eminent panelists, thank you. That was a really robust session. It's almost like that session should have been on day one, session one. That was huge. Thank you so much to Strathmore, to Jays, to UNICAF, to Madame Grace on personal branding, and to Alex at STEM. Substantive information, we appreciate you, and of course the excellent moderation from Frederick. Thank you so much. You may take your leave. Thank you. Okay, ladies, gentlemen, it is 6:10, and this draws the end to the two-day session. Thank you so much for being with me for the last 2 days. I really appreciate your time, your interest. Certainly what the Corporate Career Academy has done, this is huge. Now this is their first employability summit. They're going to hold it every year around about this time of the year. We're going to find that the CCA is also going to try and go into different countries. Maybe Rwanda is up next, or Uganda, but certainly we are back in Kenya at the end towards the end of next year. It's been an absolute pleasure hosting you. My name is Archie. Thank you so much. And as I leave you, some information about the evening. You're invited out the doors in the courtyard there near the cafeteria for a quick bite and drinks, and then back into this room in 20 minutes for the awards ceremony. Is that okay? I leave you with one quotation. Don't ask people who have never been where you're going for directions. Does it make sense? Sometimes mom is not the best person, sometimes dad is not the best person, sure, you know. Sometimes the lecturer is a bit confined in their way they want to express or think. Whatever it is, you know your direction. Ask the people who will get you there. You being here for 2 days is very much part of that journey. It's been a pleasure. I wish you a beautiful evening, and I hope I see you again same time next year at this or another campus. All the best. Asante. Paul, I think you can play some music. I've been harassing Paul. Thank you so much to the sound guys and the audiovisual guys behind me. They've been fantastic. To the students who helped me moving around with the mics, I really appreciate your support. Karibuni, back here in about 20 minutes.